Good afternoon, everyone, and we are back, all set to resume our summit with a focus on a national workforce development that will redefine technical education.
Grounding that vision into skills, we now move to plenary session 2. This session focuses on bridging the skills gap, scaling national workforce development through the enterprise-based education and training law. To guide us through this session, we are honored to have our next speaker.
She is a distinguished public servant and senior manager with over 3 decades of leadership in government service, known for bridging national policy with local and community-based action. She currently serves as the Deputy Director General for Partnerships and Linkages at the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, TESDA, where she leads initiatives to strengthen industry alignment, expand enterprise-based education and training, iba't, and mobilize industry TVET boards across the country. Before her appointment at TESDA in 2024, she was Executive Director of the Department of Trade and Industry's Philippine Trade Training Center, PTTC, where she transformed the agency into a more globally responsive training institution. Under her leadership, PTTC became the hub for developing the Philippine Skills Framework, a pioneering initiative that defines skills, standards, and career pathways aligned with industry and international benchmarks. As Project Director of the Philippine Skills Initiative since 2019, she has led the successful completion of sectoral and cross-sectoral PSFs and coordinated multi-agency and international collaboration to mainstream skills development in national policies and enterprise strategies. Her earlier leadership roles include Director of the Department of Tourism's Office of Industry Manpower Development and Regional Director for DOT Region 12, where she transformed Soxargen into a leading tourism destination, quadrupling tourist arrivals and launching inclusive programs like Complete Women. She also held key positions at the Department of Trade and Industry, both as Provincial Director in Sultan Kudarat and as Business Development Division Chief.
She is also an accomplished communicator, educator, and content creator, having worked in media and taught as an associate professor in communications. Her awards include International Woman Leader, Crystal International Women, and Outstanding Tederai Achiever, affirming her lifelong commitment to public service, women's empowerment, and inclusive development. A graduate of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, with a degree in mass communication, she holds a master's in public administration from Notre Dame University and has completed multiple international training programs and learning missions in the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Spain, and Asia. A communicator, alliance builder, and foresight-driven policy advocate, she continues to champion skills development, enterprise innovation, and community empowerment for a future-ready Philippines.
Please welcome the Deputy Director General of TVET Partnership and Community-Based TESDA, Nelly Nita Endiliera. A warm of applause, please.
Good afternoon. Okay, magandang hapon po. Hindi ko alam kung nakatulog kayo, nagising kayo sa intro, ang haba, no? Okay, oras alauna, ano ba, 1:22. The time given to me is 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Depende po. Okay, anyway, I'm actually requested to talk about EBET, but I do not want to belabor you with, a lot of discussion or a lecture, or a policy, di ba? At this very hour, I don't know if you're interested to listen to me. So I'd rather talk about a story on how we can connect, of course, the graduates of senior high school to Tech-Voc, and eventually, di ba, destination is a particular bachelor's degree in the higher education. And let's see how the EBET will come in, how the EBET will impact this, the programs that we're implementing with the industry players. Okay, of course, initially, my courtesies to everyone. My partner here for 10 days in the US, Director Mark Magsalin. Palakpakan nyo naman. Sabi niya kanina, na-miss niya yung mga lakad namin, madaling araw, wala sa oras, and all that. But here we are, back to our respective posts, and of course, doing something worthwhile. I of course, acknowledge and also recognize all the regional directors who are here. Diba? Si Asek Janier nandito kanina. And of course, our partners from the industry. Meron ba tayong mga taga-industry dito ngayon? If you can just raise your hands, please. Just for me to... Meron? Yes, sir. Okay. I think you're really very familiar about EBET already. Tama ba, sir? Okay, so I won't, as I was saying, I won't belabor you with, listening to a lot of policies, the law and all that. But I'd like to tell you a story. Okay. Let's see if this works. Dito pa lang. Okay. Inuna nila yung EBET. Kala ko story muna. Sige, EBET na lang muna tayo. Okay, EBET, basically, it's enterprise-based education and training. If you heard before, we have what we call EBT. Di ba? May EBT, enterprise-based training. Meron ring dual training system. But in 2024, all those programs, all those modalities were already merged and of course, the Office of the President launched the EBET. So basically, the EBET is, through programs and schemes implemented primarily within the enterprise. Okay, it's a program. It's a training program that's implemented in the enterprise itself. Sa TESDA po, meron kaming tinatawag na 3 modality of training. Number 1 is institution-based. Ito yung mga implemented by the training institutions, TVI ba siya or TTI ba siya. That's the first one. The second one is community-based training. Okay? The ones or the programs that are implemented together with the LGUs. Okay? And finally, the third one is EBET. Ito, ang pagkakaiba nito, yung enterprise-based education and training, as the phrase itself says, is happening in the industry itself. What do we have here? Okay, what's our role? Bakit natin ginawa yon? Bakit nagkaroon ng ganong batas? Basically because it wanted to address yung skills mismatch. Di ba sabi nga natin before, gagraduate yung bata, senior high ba siya, Tech-Voc ba siya, or higher education. But once they get to the industry, there's always the skills mismatch that has been, di ba, it's actually overemphasized. So, what the industry does is to do bridging. Okay. Dito sa enterprise-based, among the 3 modalities that I've mentioned, ang pinakamalaking employment rate is enterprise-based. It's about 86 to 90% of those who have completed their training in the EBET gets hired. Bakit? Kasi po, ang training is already happening in the enterprise itself. Diba? So ang tools na ginagamit nila are the same tools that the company is using. They're working with the same people that the company is, of course, the very people in the company. The discipline, the culture, and everything is already learned because they're already in the company itself. They're already in the industry. So that's the difference, di ba? Kasi kung gagawin natin yung training 100% sa institution, okay, 100% sa institution, chances are, mayroong pagkakaiba. Baka minsan, yung mga equipment that we're using in the institution is not as updated is not as updated as the one that they have in the enterprise. Tama ba? Kasi hindi mabilis sa atin sa government bumili ng equipment. Tama po? When we do the training, basta, yon, alam nyo na yun, from computer to whatever. Hindi tayo mabilis makaprocure, but when they're already using the same tools, the same equipment, the same facilities in the company, then, mas mabilis yun, di ba? Kasi the learning curve will be lower. Okay, when we talk about EBET, ito pa yung maganda, yung the training program that the company implements is the very program that addresses yung skills gap nung enterprise. Okay, ganito lang siya. If I own a company at gusto ko mag-expand, gusto ko mag-export, halimbawa, kailangan ko ng mga tao na whose skills are contributory to my goal. Okay? Ngayon, training is necessary. Alam natin yun lahat, di ba? It's always the backbone of any enterprise. That training can be, or malalaking mga companies are actually having their own HR. And yung mga HR, mga HR staff nila are already developing training programs, tama? They are already developing training programs that addresses the skills gap. Okay? The skills and competencies necessary for the company. Okay. What we're saying now is, since you are an enterprise or a company that knows the gaps, that knows the needs of your company in terms of skills, you can already draft the program. And that same program can already be registered sa TESDA. Yan po, can be registered sa TESDA. May konting alignments lang because we need to identify, we really need to make sure that the programs, the competencies are identified. Okay, so yan, then we issue the certificate of program registration. We also provide program development. Okay, mga ganyan, including training regulations, monitoring, and all that. So, doon na lang muna tayo. I'd like to emphasize lang yung siguro 2 points. Number 1, the enterprise, the company can draft and develop the training plan that addresses the requirement of the company and implement the training. So, when you implement the training, or when you register muna the training program, TESDA can provide you incentives. Aside, of course, from the scholarship. Kasi ang unang isipin natin, pag nag-run ba tayo ng training, what do we get from TESDA? Okay, especially from EBET. First is scholarship. Okay, when we talk about scholarship, I think it's also similar to, what DepEd. Higher education siguro would also be offering may allowance, di ba, mga ganon. Transportation costs and all that. But, in addition to that, yun yung para sa learners. But in addition to that, we also have incentives to the enterprises. Di ba? Yung enterprises, what do they get out of this? Number 1, additional tax deduction on training expenses. What we're saying here is, initially, 50% of the total training cost of the enterprise is deductible to the taxable income. Okay? Ibabawas yun sa taxable income ninyo, 50% of the training cost. Diba? Nag-training ka na, nabigyan ka pa ng incentive. Next is, we know that there are certain institutions which are also benefiting from donors. Diba? Donors supply them with equipment. I remember when we went to PEZA zone, they were actually intending to donate number of computers sa isang institution, but the institution did not accept it basically because ang mahal ng tax. Okay? But under the EBET, may tax exemption na siya. And finally, of course, access to TESDA endorsed certification for tax filing. Yun lang. Ang hihingin lang sa inyo ng BIR is the certificate from TESDA that your program is already registered. Kaya nung Christmas, ang tanong nila sa akin, ano yung Christmas wish ko? Isa lang yung Christmas wish ko, Marami rin pala. Mahirap pala pag isa lang yung Christmas wish, ano? Dapat marami. Okay, anyway, isa sa mga Christmas wishes ko lang that time, we hope that a number or a lot of enterprises in the Philippines will open their doors to learners for the EBET. I think ganun rin yung direction ni na Director Mark, di ba? You wanted as many enterprises to open your doors for learners to learn in the enterprise itself. So yun yung gusto nating mangyari. And right now, I think we already have a total of 793 enterprises. Itong taon lang yun ha, nung 2025 lang. 793 enterprises that already registered about 1,590 something programs. Okay? So ito na yung magra-run ng training program under the EBET. Okay. If you're interested to learn more about the EBET, ito po yung QR code. You might be interested to share it, to enterprises that are within your province or within your municipality. Let them know more about the EBET and let them go to the nearest TESDA office. Kasi yung TESDA office po ang magbibigay ng orientation, although we can also back them up. We can also provide orientation for your companies, okay? But the registration will actually happen doon po sa mga enterprises or doon sa district where the enterprise is located. So yan po. It's a practical guide registering your EBET program. Okay, from here, okay na po. I'm looking at some people who are still taking photos, but maybe we can also leave the presentation material to you so you can go over it. Okay, eto pa. I heard that si Ms. Zoe kanina from BPO, from the BPO industry, hi Ms. Zoe, has actually been talking about Philippine Skills Framework. This is also very useful. Useful siya, di ba? Yung mga nagde-develop ng program. Si Director Mark is the head of the curriculum development, and I think a lot of you are also looking into how you can update your curriculum, but you have to align with, of course, the policies of DepEd. But in your siguro level, in your capacity, you can review the programs that you have and see how well or how more you can improve the learning outcomes. Di ba mga lesson plans and all? Pag tinignan po ninyo ito, kunan nyo rin po ulit itong QR code, you can make use of that in developing your learning outcomes. Di ba yung mga lesson plan, ano ba yung mga plan natin, lesson for the day, lesson for that particular level and all that. We already have a total of 11 Philippine Skills Frameworks that's completed. The one that we have on screen right now are, okay, yon. Animation, game development, human capital development, business development, semiconductor and electronics, walang construction, logistics and supply chain, and a lot more. Okay, anyway, these are just very important or useful document that you can make use of. Okay. Okay. Dito na ako, balik ako sa kwento para hindi kayo matulog sa akin. I'll make this quick just to lay down the connection between DepEd, TESDA, between and among DepEd, TESDA, and CHED. Because as you see, di ba, last week, I think you are all very aware that the Joint Education Trifocal Committee, MANCOM, met in Lawag. It's the second time, but we're seeing a lot more joint meeting. Because we really wanted to connect. Hindi po pwedeng, alam niyo yun, nag-enroll sa senior high, pagdating sa Tech-Voc or pagdating sa higher education, mag-start na naman siya ulit sa scratch. Tama, di ba? Dapat credited and ma-recognize kung ano po yung nakuha niya sa senior high, dahil may assessment siya, ano naman yung nakuha niya sa Tech-Voc, okay, leading to a diploma ba? And that diploma can already be stacked and used when they enroll sa higher education institution. Okay, this is just a simple story. A story that represents thousands of Filipino youth whose lives are changed by TechPro and TVET. Let me introduce to you, sabihin ko sana si George, babae siya, pero gamitin na lang natin pangalang si Althea. The start of a dream. Si Althea grew up in a coastal town in Batangas. Her family ran a tiny carinderia near the pier. Every day, she watched tourists, both local and foreign, pass by on their way to the beach. She would tell her mother, balang araw, gusto ko magtrabaho sa hotel, gusto ko mag-welcome ng guests from all over the world. But her family didn't know if college was affordable. Di ba ganun yon? Ang usual, pag nag-enroll, kahit na tayo before, ano bang gusto mo maging? Gusto natin yung ending palagi na bachelor's degree. So, teacher, ano ba siya? Announcer, okay, ano ba? Ano pa bang kurso? Nawala ako sa mga kurso. Engineer, etc., etc. But, we were not actually focusing on ano ba yung mga dapat nating ihanda at the basic education level or even yung technical and vocational level, so that even without, graduating from a 4-year course, you can already work. Pwede ba yon? Pwede po? Ay, hindi kayo gising. Pwede po ba yon? Na kahit hindi nyo natapos yung 4-year college nyo, bachelor's degree, you can already work? Good. Okay, thank you for being awake, like me. Pero tama yun, di ba? Yun. So yun yung gusto nating i-emphasize dito. That's why there's the trifocal. So, when she entered senior high school, she chose TVL before, Tech Pro na ngayon, tourism, because she believed ito ang pinakamabilis na runway para makapagtrabaho. Tama ba? Narinig ko kay Director Mark kanina, maganda yung partnership niyo with Jollibee. Tama, di ba? So, nasa senior high pa lang, they already get OGT or apprenticeship sa Jollibee, and they can already work. But of course, sabi nga ni Sir kanina, si Sir Timonera, siya ba? Okay, sabi niya kanina, dapat, wag nating hayaan lang na yung dream ng isang bata, forever, nandun lang siya. So, dapat dagdagan natin ng skill, okay? So, pwede siya mag-work, but we should encourage and inspire him or her to move further. And that education can actually be taken not only from, basic education or senior high, but they can get higher or even senior high, but get additional skills. So, she was right po. Sabi nga ninyo, sabi rin ni Secretary namin, Kiko Benitez, it's actually the fastest runway para makapagtrabaho. So, okay, the school, ba't ayaw niya naman gumalaw nito? Saan ba ako? Okay, sige. The school where hospitality found her. In her TVL tourism class, she learned, ano mga natutunan doon? Tourism or front office operations, housekeeping, food and beverage service, local tourism knowledge, customer care, and soft skills, and even basic foreign language phrases. Her teachers, trained, passionate, and industry link sparked her confidence. Before graduating, she earned her NC2 in tourism promotion services and NC2 in front office services. Okay? Ang maganda pa nito, last year lang ba nag-start RD-Red, na TESDA actually provided yung assessment fee for all graduates. Lahat ng mga nag-graduate, hindi naman siguro lahat, but 12 sa K-12. Lahat naman nag-graduate sa K-12 were actually provided free assessment access. Binayaran ng TESDA yung assessment fee nila. Okay. So, what we're saying is, if they already have the NC, they can already start working. So, when she proudly brought home her certificates, her tatay said, hindi ka na magsisimula sa simula. So, the enterprise, the turning point, ito pala siya. Like many learners, what truly transformed her journey was the immersion. Tama po? Kaya yung plain classroom learning should be backed by immersion. But this was not an ordinary immersion. It was an immersion strengthened by the Enterprise-Based Education and Training Law, and of course, the apprenticeship or OJT immersion program of the DepEd. The hotel was accredited as an enterprise-based training partner. Its staff were trained as workplace mentors, okay? And its training plan followed national standards in the Philippine Skills Framework for a particular sector. So TESDA, DepEd, and the enterprise shared quality oversight. During her immersion in the 3-star hotel in Tagaytay, she learned real front, desk system, reservation handling, guest relations, room inspection procedures, and crisis management. She shadowed staff, assisted actual guests, and experienced the real place of hotel operations. One day, after she skillfully handled a guest complaint, her manager said, "Althea, you can finish senior high school, apply here. We need people like you." With that single sentence, Althea felt her future open. So the first job, from senior high school to the lobby desk. Althea finished senior high school with 2 NCs and real industry experience. A month later, she was hired as a front office associate. Her enterprise-based training meant she didn't feel lost on her first day. Di ba minsan ganun yon? When we enter a certain company, especially when we're new, parang makikipalagayan pa, mag-a-adjust with the people around you, with the equipment around you, with the facilities, and the policies and the culture and all that. But if you've already trained and immersed in the company, you won't feel lost, okay? She could immediately perform tasks because she had her internship in the enterprise itself. Her supervisors trusted her skills. She earned her own income supporting her siblings' schools expenses. Her family finally felt the breathing room. She felt dignity in her work. Most importantly, her TVL and TVET credentials were recognized and stackable. Now, for higher learning, a ladder, not a restart. Because as we were saying, dapat kahit na nasa DepEd po tayo, we're not just thinking about, senior high school. We're not just thinking about learners, diba? Gaining knowledge from that particular level, but we are actually preparing them how to transit to another level. Okay, so almost 2 years, Althea wanted to level up. She enrolled in a Bachelor of Science in Hospitality Management. Because of the ladderized system under the PQF, her NCs, okay, take note, yung mga certificate, yung sa assessment, her industry experience, competencies, and prior learning were credited. She skipped several introductory subjects. One example that I can share to you is, of course, I had an experience talking to some institutions in Bicol. Parang 2 years, they took NC 3 and 4 sa TESDA. Okay, when they entered college, it only took them 2 years to complete the bachelor's degree. Okay, so what we're saying is you don't have to start from scratch. She skipped several introductory subjects. Her efforts, internships, and all the certificates that she acquired were recognized, and she could continue working part-time while completing her degree. She climbed the ladder without being forced to return to zero. The ecosystem behind Althea's success. Okay, yan po yung ecosystem niya. Althea's journey is not accidental. Kailangan talaga siyang planuhin, di ba? That's why we're here. Sabi nga ni Sec kanina, we were at Telacon this morning, and I was telling Director Magsalin, DepEd siya, pero kami siguro eventually rin, di ba, when we organize event, especially if we're looking at ladderized, dapat yung logo ng 3 agencies nandoon. So we can emphasize that we're no longer living in silos. We're actually, preparing our learners for a destination that's, bachelor's degree, or master's degree, or PhD degree, but everything that's spent in senior high school or in Tech-Voc right now are contributory to it. Ibig sabihin, hindi na siya mag-start from scratch. So it is actually the result of a system that worked together. DepEd, the school where she built her foundation, values, work ethic, and early competencies. The enterprise, which is also very important, sharpened her practical skills, gave her exposure, mentorship, and her first job. TESDA is coming in, provided the TVET standards, competency assessments, and stackable qualifications that open the pathways. Of course, making use of the enterprise-based education and training law as its passport to getting into the enterprises. And of course, the Commission on Higher Education, recognizing the prior learning and ensuring a smooth transition to higher education. We cannot discount kasi ecosystem, we're talking about ecosystem. We cannot discount, of course, the fact that the family is also very important, who fed her dreams and encouraged her when things got tough. And of course, pinaka-importante sa equation is the learner, di ba? Kasi wala namang kwenta lahat ng mga effort natin kung walang mag-e-enroll. So the learner who chose to work, who chose to study, to train, and persevere, believing her future was worth fighting for. This is the ecosystem that EBET is strengthening. You have education, you have enterprise, you have the government agencies, plus the community, and the equation is through workforce development. So why TVL and TVET are transformational? Okay, as a bit of summary and conclusion, from Althea's story, we are reminded of powerful truths. TVL, Tech Pro na po ngayon, and TVET are the fastest and surest runway to work. Skills lead to employment, mobility, and dignity. Enterprise partnerships create real-world competencies. EBET elevates immersion into structured, high-quality training. Industry demand directly shapes curriculum, okay? We emphasize kanina yung importance of the industry or the enterprises because they tell us, sabi nga ni Sir kanina, di ba, they actually need specific skills for specific job roles. And if we're able to identify those in the companies, correspondingly, yung mga micro-credentials natin can be, developed towards that direction. This is what the TVL, Tech Pro, TVET pathway promises. A meaningful, employable, and uplifting journey for every Filipino youth. Okay, in closing, Althea's story should be every learner's story. But take note, for every learner that's enrolled, who's enrolled in the Department of Education, schools, or even in Tech-Voc, or TESDA, operated institutions, or yung mga private institutions, behind every learner are, of course, those agencies, DepEd, TESDA, CHED, okay? And so today, as we gather for this National Tech-Voc Summit, may Althea's journey remind us, every TVL learner deserves a chance to shine. Every enterprise has the power to transform a young life. Every school can open doors to industries, just as every industry should also, or we hope, should also, or can also open their doors to our learners. Every family can become a child's first source of hope. Every agency, DepEd, TESDA, CHED, DOLE, DTI, all those that are concerning or contributory to education, plays a role in one unified pathway. And every learner can build a future that once felt impossible. Let us ensure that the story of Althea becomes the story of millions, a story where skills empower, opportunities grow, that no one starts from zero, and where every Filipino youth can say, may pangarap ako, may skills ako, at handa akong abutin ang kinabukasan ko. So together po, let us empower skills. Together, let us build better future careers. Together, let us build stronger, prouder, and more skilled Philippines. Maraming salamat po, at magandang hapon sa inyo.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director General Villera, for that comprehensive, enlightening presentation. The insights today will surely serve as a vital compass for our learners to get to the real enterprise world. And to award the certificate to our speaker, may I invite Director Magsalin. Allow me to read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, DepEd Complex, Meralco Avenue, Pasig City. Certificate of Recognition. Certificate is presented to Nelly Nita M. Villera in recognition of invaluable contributions as plenary speaker during the National Tech-Voc Summit 2025 National Edition of Tech-Voc, held at the Great Eastern Hotel, Quezon City on January 28, 2026. Given this 28th day of January 2026 in Quezon City, Philippines. Signed, Carmela C. Rovacion, Assistant Secretary, Officer in Charge, Office of the Undersecretary for Learning Systems. How about a round of applause, please?
Building on that foundation, we move to panel discussion 2, Beyond the Classroom, Strengthening the Ecosystem of Senior High School Work Immersion. This time, we give the floor to our moderator, Senior Education Program Specialist of the Bureau of Learning Delivery, John Paul Francisco.
Hello, good afternoon to each and everyone. I think napakatahimik natin doon sa ating panel discussion kanina. Sa plenary natin. Isang malakas na magandang tanghali po. Okay, sige. 1, 2, 3, go! Kulang ata yung kinain natin. Okay, sige. Isa pa. Go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, much better, di ba? Okay, so let's proceed to our panel discussion 2. The panel discussion 2, the core of the panel discussion 2 is a senior high school work immersion program. I think this is so much important. Isa to sa mga importanteng discussions natin for today kasi we have students, we have stakeholders, and then also we have the school heads. Okay, so for today's panel discussion, we are honored to have our 4 distinguished resource persons who bring diverse expertise and perspective to our discussion. Please join me in welcoming our panel of speakers as they share their insight with us. Our first resource person is the Assistant Executive Director at Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, bringing expertise in technical education and skills development. She serves as a Chief TESDA Specialist where they focus on vocational training initiatives. Their experience also includes serving as a Senior TESDA Specialist at TESDA Central Office, contributing to research, training, and curriculum development within the Philippine Tibet, particularly within the Learning Development Division. In this role, they focus on research training and curriculum design. Also, serve as trainer and developer at Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. Their work history includes participation in ILO's MOOC on recognition of prior learning. Also holds a Bachelor of Science of Mathematics from St. Mary University, Bayombong, Nueva Vizcaya. Let's welcome our first research speaker, Ma'am Redeline C. Agu. Please give a round of applause.
Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. My respects to all DepEd officials, January pa lang, pero this is my fourth uh, meeting or event with DepEd. So that's how TESDA and DepEd as well as CHED are collaborating for our teachers as well as for our learners. So my presentation is on TVET Embedment Capacity Building Program for Senior High School Teachers. Teachers are very important in the teaching and learning process. So for TESDA trainers or for TVET trainers, we require trainers methodology. So this is a course to make sure that the teacher can impart skills and knowledge and skills to his students. And when the DepEd embraced the TVL track, so they also use the training regulations, or we also use the training regulations that were developed by TESDA. That's why we also trained teachers to be competency-based trainers. But my presentation is on a particular program which is called Strengthening the Senior High School Curriculum through TVET Embedment. Next slide, please. Sorry. Okay, on May 10, 2024, there were two joint memorandum circulars signed. The first one is on TVET embedment, and the second one is on the certification of graduates of the TVL track. So for the strengthening of senior high school through TVET embedment, the intention was really to embed technical skills not only to TVL, but to the academic track as well. Ulitin natin. Yun pong nasa TVL, naturally, Tech-Voc po yung kanilang elective ban tawag natin doon. But for the academic track, wala po silang TVET skills. So the intention of the joint memorandum circular was to contextualize TVET skills into the academic track. Paano natin gagawin yon? We intended to embed learning activities, for example, in English or in communication. We intended to have learning activities so that they will learn how to communicate with customers who wants to develop for their who wants to have a logo. For example, I'm a customer and I want a logo. I would have requirements for my logo. Pag ikaw ay developer ng logo, this is Visual Graphics Design NC3. If you are the logo designer, you should be able to communicate well with your customers so that you will get every requirement, the color scheme, the graphics that are in the logo, what are represented by all of the text and graphics in your logo should be all communicated with the logo designer. And this communication skills is also taught within the English subject or course of the academic track. So habang nag-i-English sila, yung learning activity, natututunan din nila kung papaano ilista yung requirement ng customer sa pamamagitan ng good communication skills. So that's one example of what we intend to do. And then, next slide ulit. So, what we did was to convene experts from DepEd. We worked with BCD, Bureau of Curriculum Development, and BLD, Bureau of Learning Development, to craft the curriculum or the learning activities by looking into both the training regulations and the contents of the subject. We see the commonalities and then we insert learning activities to learn both the academic subject and the Tech-Voc skills. So not intending, of course, to overwhelm our learners na puro Tech-Voc skills na lang yung natututunan nila. So we carefully crafted these activities so that if the teacher will teach this, both the intentions or both the objectives of the academic subject and the embedment of a certain skill, not the total TR in one subject, of course, will be attained. So after that, we also had this validated by teachers from all over the country. But, of course, this is not the only activity needed in this project. The teacher is very important. That's why we had training programs for the teachers who will pilot this project with their students. So the first activity is on technology awareness. So an English teacher learning electrical installation and maintenance NC2, for example. So we immerse them to those training regulations. So we chose EIM, electrical installation, maintenance, visual graphics design, bookkeeping, and agro-entrepreneurship. And these are their pictures. So there was a 1 week face-to-face. So natutunan, they look into the activities and they tried it hands-on in our workshops in TESDA, in different workshops. And for agro-entrepreneurship, nag-immersion sila, so they went out. And for visual graphics design, they made use of TESDA's workshops, where we usually teach visual graphics design. Along with that, so the intention was for an English teacher to learn how to teach the learning activities embedded in the next slide, please. So these were, sorry. Back. Ay. There was also an online training kasi masyadong mahal pagka puro face-to-face. So we also had a phase wherein they had the training online, and they were engaged with our National Tech-Voc Trainers Academy to integrate learning activities into the subjects that are aligned with the training regulations intended to be piloted. So these were their pictures. So we call it contextualized learning. So you learn mathematics in the context of a skill. So these were the numbers. We have 193 teachers being trained for this project from different regions. Next. Okay, so all in all, this is a 10-day program conducted online and face-to-face. And this produced their materials to be used for training. Next. So all in all, ito po yung number, 182 detailed lesson plans and 26 pre-test, post-test instruments developed by the teachers already trained during those sessions. So hindi po ginawa ng TESDA o ng DepEd yung lesson plans, but they were developed by those teachers who we trained to pilot this project. Next. Now we are here. We are done with the preliminaries. The pilot is being implemented, and this year what our project will with DepEd is to monitor and evaluate the results of the project. But the gain here is we are trying to impart to our learners that the skills are very important, not only in TVL, but also in the academic track, so that when they choose their careers, they would appreciate having skills apart from having a degree course. And also for teachers, na-appreciate nila yung training, gusto nila magpa-assess na din daw sila ng NC3. But of course, they would still need training because the assessment is hands-on. Next. Okay, thank you very much for listening.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, Ma'am Ago. So for your comprehensive presentation regarding the partnership of Department of Education and TESDA. Isa lang yung napasin ko dun sa sinabi ni Ma'am, teacher is so much important in teaching and learning delivery, right? Tama ba? Sila kasi mismo yung core and then the main characters doon sa mismong classroom. And else, pati yung mga students natin. Itaas nga ang kamay lahat ng students na naka-join sa ating summit ngayon. Nasaan kayo? Taas ang kamay. Yan, ang dami pala. Ang dami natin tatanungin mamaya. Okay, sige. Let's proceed to our second resource person. He is a development sector professional with over a decade of experience working at intersection of education, workforce development, and public policy. He is currently the education policy lead at the private sector, Job Skills Corporation, and has previously served as a workforce development lead for a second Congressional Commission on Education and as policy and advocacy manager at Philippine Business for Education. Please roll BDR. And now, let's welcome Sir Jose Andoni Santos. Let's give a round of applause.
Thank you. siningit ko lang yung video para maiba kasi I know as educators, you know better than everyone else na kapag after lunch, mahirap yung mga lecture. So, unfortunately, I do have a presentation, pero mabilis lang sana. So, as mentioned, I'm Andoni Santos. I work in the private sector Jobs and Skills Corporation. Hopefully, familiar yan sa inyo kasi yan yung present ng president namin this morning, si Jopin. But as a quick review, okay, yan. So as a quick review, Private Sector Advisory Council. So ito yung mga individuals, yung sinabi ni Jopin, mga captains of industry. So ito yung mga conglomerates that sit on the Advisory Council of the President. And then Private Sector Jobs and Skills Corporation or P-Corp, kami yan. So kami yung nag-operationalize ng advice nila, ng mga recommendations nila. And we work with the government, with the people around here, to pilot some of the ideas and to learn from some of those ideas. And syempre fund some of those ideas. So ito yung founding members namin. So don't need to elaborate further, mga captains of industry as Jopin calls them. But what does P Corp do? Or what we try to do? Initially, it's one thing. We try to help government address the jobs and skills mismatch. And important doon yung we help government. So we are supporting government. So it's the first time, as Jopin mentioned, na private sector has organized to help government in specific sectors. And in our committee, before it was the Jobs Committee, naging Education and Jobs Committee with a focus talaga on education. So, in a nutshell, we bridge education and employment gaps. We support the National Education and Workforce Development Plan. Who here is familiar with EDCOM? Dapat familiar kayo kasi education sector. So the Second Congressional Commission on Education, 3 years na sila, they're ending already unless extended. They have been investigating, they have been recommending reforms. And just this Monday, they released yung final report nila. And sa final report na yun, nandun yung National Education and Workforce Development Plan. So it's a 10-year plan starting this year until 2036 or 2035 for the education sector. So I recommend you go to their website, EDCOM2, check nyo yun. So P Corp is also supporting, at least kung ano man dyan yung related sa private sector, we'll try to support. No? And then lastly, strengthen public-private partnerships. So yung first and yung third related yan. Bridging or connecting is not enough. We also have to strengthen that connection and strengthen those partnerships. So usually we like to say we want to help build pathways from education to employment. Ayaw natin na education hanggang education lang. And then employment picks off there. Dapat connected sila. And it's hard to build those pathways. As many of you are in DepEd, I know you know that. It's hard to reform. Kung isipin natin, nasa bundok tayo, tapos we want to create a new pathway, di ba? Siyempre, we have to cut down the trees. Mahirap yan. But eventually, as more and more people go through that pathway, it becomes, more certain, clearer. Wala na dyan mga halaman, no? But since the word of the day is, ano yung word of the day natin? Hobby. Since the word of the day is hobby, gamitin ko na lang yung sinabi ni RC. So, it's also a way to weave together education and employment so that we have something that comes out stronger. And that's what we want to try to do with the government. So, pinag-usapan na this morning yung Enhanced Work Immersion Program. I won't repeat anything. I guess the only thing I want to highlight, 2 important things. One, enhanced kasi pinatagal. 420 to 640 hours. This is very important because the global standard is at least 450, and industry has already told us from our initial pilot na it's working, and pag yung usual 80 hours, parang that's only good enough for shadowing. And I'll show you later some feedback. Yung mga initial first few weeks, mahiyain pa yung mga students. So they can't really come into their own in the workplace until much later on. So it's important to give them that space, that experience, so that they can, shine on their own and they learn to become more independent. And then the second thing I wanted to highlight, so that's the first. The second thing I wanted to highlight that's different now is, well, hindi man sa kami, but now the private sector is also trying to organize. Whereas before, I know you've been implementing work immersion for a few years na, kanya-kanyang school, kayo na bahala. So the principal, the teachers, maghahanap kayo ng partners dyan sa localities ninyo. So the difference now is we're trying to help, at least with the bigger companies, we're trying to find out, okay, who is interested in work immersion? Where are you located? Ano yung mga schools nearby na pwede natin i-connect sa inyo? So now, at least, meron kayong partner sa industry side. Hindi talaga perfect. We are only in some sectors and mostly the big companies. Pero at least it can help, no? And we want to start those partnerships. So, I didn't want to present. Actually, pinalitan ko yung hinihingi sa akin nung technical staff yung presentation this morning. Pinalitan ko kasi this morning, I know you saw lots of presentations on the program itself. You heard from Fastech, IBPAP, Newport. They were all our partners. You heard from Jopin herself. So I decided to put na lang yung feedback from the partners, some of the students. And then later, kung may students tayo dito, maybe we can hear from them. And then from the teachers also. So, McDonald's, ano ba yung sinabi nila? So, the increase in work immersion hours created meaningful opportunity for both the students and their own team. It was a real win-win situation. And it provided a valuable glimpse into the real working world. So it gave them experience of what it's like to be a part of a team, follow established processes, handle customer interactions, and then later on, pag independent na sila, managing responsibilities under pressure. So what's important to highlight here is these are experiences that go beyond the classroom. Not that minamaliit natin yung tech pro sa classroom, that's very important, and I think particularly for areas na wala tayong industry presence, that will be really a key for DepEd's program. But these are things that kailangan talaga nila ma-experience sa workplace. And it gives them confidence, develops work ethic, coming to work on time, yung resilience and grit that they were talking about. And it also gives them an idea of ano ba yung career choices ko? Ano yung career pathways ko? Ito ba ay para sa akin? I mean, technically, sinasabi ko, walang loose scenario dito eh. Because even if they enter, if later on they figure out na, ay, not for me, hindi para sa akin to. For me, that's a win. At least ngayon pa lang alam nila, na-experience nila. And then later on, pwede sila mag-pivot. So at least it gives them that experience and that information. So another partner, Valley Bread naman, ano sinasabi nila? So noong una, I think what's important to highlight is, noong una, mahiyain yung learners. And across all partners, that was some of the feedback that they said. But day by day, they rose to the challenge, they listened, they learned, and they lead into every opportunity. So pretty soon, hindi lang sila nakikeep up, but they ended up thriving. So I think what their point is, it's really about that confidence and that self-belief, no? And they get that when they get yung feedback from the mentors sa workplace na sinasabi nila, good job, okay ka na, iwan na kita, on your own ka na. That really ignites their self-belief. So it really has a positive impact on them. From the students naman, si Maricar, ICT CSS student. So it gave them opportunities but also allowed to experience the reality. So it allowed them to become more prepared, more confident. They didn't just learn technical skills. They also learned how to work well and get along with other people. So ito yung mga bagay na hindi mo talaga matututunan sa classroom. So it's very similar to the feedback from the partners themselves. Si Quincy naman, na cookery student, the work immersion helped them to open up their minds to the realities of life. Iba yung sa work, walang excuses eh. It's different na minsan, alam mo naman sa school, pag tinatamad, madami excuse, walang homework, whatever. Pero sa work, there's no such thing as an excuse. It's either you deliver or not. So these are some of the things that they learned. It also gave them parang opportunities to learn how to be patient and diligent in the workplace. Si Vince naman, ICT CSS student, developed his work ethic, improved abilities to socialize and cooperate in a professional way, and allowed him to be more productive. 1 more minute left. Sige, Riza May. Siya naman, sabi niya, it helped us step out of our comfort zones and it improved our skills and we became more confident. So sa teachers naman, si Diana, sabi niya, they gained valuable hands-on experience, helped strengthen their technical competence, critical thinking, problem-solving skills. So lahat ng sinasabi ng IBPAP kanina na 21st century skills that are the base minimum na kailangan sa workplace, yan yung mga natutunan nila. So when we're always asked, you want soft skills from the graduates, pero how do we put that in the curriculum? And mahirap, no? It's hard to find examples na sinabi ni Ma'am Red, like sa English, gagawin natin ito. It's very difficult. Whereas here, pag work immersion, every day, kailangan nilang gawin. And that they learn all of these skills every day. So upon completion, many students expressed that immersion helped them clarify their career goals, understand workplace expectations, and prepare them for future employment. So if you notice, this is my last slide na, if you notice, there's one common theme that they all also mentioned, apart from the experience, the on-hand experience, is they didn't talk about technical skills. Natutunan ko yung mechatronics or natutunan ko yung data analysis. Wala silang sinabing ganon. It gave me the opportunity to be more confident. It gave me the opportunity to speak to adults or to speak with others, to have more responsibility and to work under pressure. So again, this is something na they will only experience if they are in the workplace. Kaya for me, the job skills mismatch, not for anything. It doesn't start with CHED, doesn't start with TESDA, doesn't start with industry, pero it starts with DepEd. The first point of contact of the learners is work immersion in the senior high school. And later on, hopefully we can have a back and forth. Eventually, yung pinaka first contact is career guidance sana. So I think that's something later on, hopefully we can talk about na if we can provide them that career guidance, we can make this even more successful. Thank you.
Hello. Again, please give a round of applause to Sir Jose Santos. Connections is so much important. Para to enhance and develop the skills of our students, right? Connections of private and public sector. Now, before we proceed to the introduction of our third resource speaker, may I call on nga yung mga taga Region 1. Region 1, people, where are you? Taas nga ang mga kamay. Wow, ang dami pala nila, no? Okay, sige, so let's proceed. I think this third resource speaker is Pride ng Region. Okay. So NCR. NCR pala. Sorry. I think nagkamali yung slide. Okay, so our third discussant for our panel discussion is the principal of Sukat Senior High School, a pilot school for strengthened senior high school curriculum in Muntinlupa. He previously served as the public schools district supervisor and senior high school focal person for the school's division office, where he helped establish the city work immersion program, and secured official recognition for senior high school 29 public school in the city. He has also been a head teacher and English teacher at Lakeview Integrated School. He holds a doctorate and master's degree in educational management and bachelor's degree in education, major in English, and has passed both, career executive service written examination and the national qualifying examination for school head. Let's give a round of applause to Dr. J. Boy Ebano.
Walang problema. Magandang hapon. Good afternoon, everyone. And just would like to mention that I enjoyed listening to the presenters prior to this presentation because this gives my presentation greater emphasis. My presentation would highlight what we do in Muntinlupa to ensure that our WI learners would have industry placements for work immersion. In the construct of work immersion, the the curriculum is as important as our prospects of industry placement. Gaano man kaganda ang curriculum, kahit maganda, walang butas, pero wala ka namang pagdadalhan ng bata mo, malaking problema yan. And that's exactly what we're experiencing with WI, not just in Muntinlupa. Well, if I could say, Muntinlupa is a highly urbanized city, but we still have problems with WI placements. Lalong higit pa yung mga nasa mga probinsya. So we have to really explore how we can convince our industry partners to rally behind the program so that our learners would have assured placements come, the time WI is already offered. Okay? Of course, I phrased it to be an strategic priority, but in reality, this is the major challenge. The challenge is, how do we forge industry alliances to ensure that our learners would have somewhere to go when WI comes? And among the challenges we have identified include companies having fear that our students lack basic professionalism skills, soft and of course the technical skills. And of course, companies struggle to design short-term, meaningful projects kasi nga ATRs in the old curriculum. Lagi yan ang medyo problema. Pag naririnig nilang ATRs, they favor the OJT students over WI learners. And pangatlo, of course, some companies have limited slots. But this has to be put in the proper context because we only approach the companies we know. We do not have knowledge about the networks PESO has knowledge about. Kaya kailangan talagang magtulong-tulong. So, what did Muntinlupa do? Muntinlupa passed Ordinance Number 2024-260, which provided for a work immersion program for Muntinlupa senior high school students and for other purposes. What are its highlights? One, it created the work immersion. I think something was deleted. The first is that city government offices were mandated to accept work immersion students. By mandated, I mean they were required to accept. So accepting WI learners no longer became an option for city government offices. And the threshold is our city government offices should reach 5% of the total plantilla position of the entire city. This also includes NGAs in the locality such as DepEd, such as TESDA, among other offices. So medyo marami. Of course, the value there is assured slots for WI learners in the city government of Muntinlupa. And for academic tracks, for example, or strands like UMS, malaking value ito kasi yung gustong magpulis, yung gustong mag-lawyer, may assured placement sila and the expertise really match the needs of the learners. Secondly, it also created the Work Immersion Committee or Task Force, which ensured immersion slots match students' tracks. We were able to pull together heads of the various city government offices, particularly PESO, which has knowledge of the industry network, and we were told where to put our learners. So they had the expertise. Number two, we were able to ensure that our efforts related to WI align with the city development plan. That's also another concern. Number three, we were also able to tap BPLO in terms of the industry map in the locality. And, they also served as our conduit in ensuring that the schools would no longer have to worry about where to go exploring WI placement. Kasi dati, dahil fragmented ang effort, bawat school pupunta kung saan, may problema tayo kasi hindi lahat ng pinupuntahan nila ina-acknowledge sila or ina-accommodate. But with the city government leading the mapping of possible WI placements and serving as conduit, ensuring that schools go to where they would be accommodated, mas madali-dali on the part of the DepEd. Of course, looking at the benefits, mayroon ding committee oversight as to whether the implementation really match intentions of the curriculum. Naiiwasan yung, I don't know if you're familiar with pinagtitimpla ng kape sa gilid, because the government offices are tied to specific standards as to what they should make learners do while they are deployed in the respective offices. And of course, we were able to align student training with local industry needs. That's a critical aspect of this ordinance. For the partner industries, they were encouraged, not mandated. Unlike the city government offices, our partners, industry partners, were encouraged to host senior high school work immersees. And this is no longer encouraging without benefits, because they were given certificate of exemption from the city's local hiring ordinance, because there is an ordinance in Muntinlupa prescribing that industries hire 70% Muntinlupeños and only 30% employees from outside of Muntinlupa. So if they would accept WI learners, that's going to exempt them to a certain extent from complying with that kautusan, and giving the industries more legroom to really manage their employment pool. All right? Also, yung concern kasi ng Muntinlupa, not all of the industries are able to meet the 70% threshold, considering that there's also some sort of adjustments we have to do with program offerings in the locality. So the education sector acknowledges that. And in the transition to being able to meet that demand, we really need to allow our industries to hire from outside of Muntinlupa, and this operationalizes that strategy. So that's a win-win situation for our industry partners. Let's also take a look at this initiative. The Muntinlupa Business Advisory Council has what it calls the Local Talent Integration Program, where our college graduates from local TAIs are pooled and are matched against industry demands through peso pooling and other activities. In the most recent MBAC meeting, they have already approved the inclusion of our WI learners in the talent integration program, tapping into slots in the top 20 industries of Muntinlupa, including Meralco, including our hotels, including our small and medium enterprises who are members of the MBAC. But this is yet to be operationalized because the process by which we will allow our learners to be part of the program is being ironed out. But this is actually a movement forward in terms of including not just the top industries of Muntinlupa, but also our small and medium industries. Well, they could accept 3-4 WI learners, but pulled together, that's a significant number that could reduce WI placement demands. That's our city mayor at the center, Honorable Mayor Rufy Biason, who heads our MBAC, Muntinlupa Business Advisory Council. And these plans were actually finalized in the local school board meetings, where discussions on WI are also done, responding to EDCOM recommendations, because we really have to create pathways by which learners can be exposed to industry activities and engagements. This is also part of that. That's Congressman Jimmy Frisnelli. His office accepts WI learners. And of course, these would promote hiring Muntinlupa residents, creating pathways for our WI learners to eventually land employment in our partners, industry partners, and it directly supports creating work immersion slots for senior high school and college students. And of course, it facilitates dialogue with our industry partners, because we also allow our MBAC members to comment on the curriculum. So further enhancements, localization, contextualization of the curriculum is informed by feedback we obtain from MBAC members during MBAC meetings. This is the last slide. The Muntinlupa model proves that the path to a competitive future is paved through partnership. By unlocking both public resources and private innovation, we guarantee opportunity for our youth and talent for our industries today and tomorrow. So this is our local initiative. I hope other cities and provinces could also make modifications to our setup so that the WA learners can take advantage of the local industry and the network our city governments, provincial, municipal governance have knowledge about. Magandang hapon po at maraming salamat.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. J. Evano. Grabe, no? Best practice yung city ordinance na ginawa ng Muntinlupa. Okay, so I am very excited to introduce the last resource person. Siya yung galing ng Region 1. Again, Region 1, itaas nga ang ating mga kamay. Yan, pride to kasi ng Region 1. Okay? So, our third discussion for today is an educational leader and cultural advocate from Ilocos Norte and a member of the U.S. Embassy International Exchange Alumni. He currently serves as school principal 4 of San Nicolas High School, where he champions technical-vocational education, localized learning, and industry-aligned skills development. He is the president of San Nicolas Culture and Heritage Mapper Association and a key proponent of Damili Pottery Curriculum of San Nicolas and Weaving Curriculum of Bana, integrating culture, technology, and entrepreneurship. Guided by his Flores 8-point agenda, his leadership strongly aligns with the goals of the National Tech-Voc Summit in advising future-ready and community-responsive education. The pride of Region 1, Sir Florante R. Rigo.
To the officialdom of the Department of Education, our industry partners, fellow presenters, the students, and all other stakeholders na imbag amalem. That would be good afternoon. Last school year, 2024-2025, San Nicolas National High School accepted the challenge from the Department of Education, wherein we were invited at Baguio for a seminar workshop for the enhanced work, senior high school enhanced work immersion program. And at that seminar, they challenged us if we're gonna accept the baby piloting of the enhanced work immersion program. And we continued on this school year 2025-2026 for its main piloting. And through it, with all humility, may I present to you a 3 minutes presentation for the status of our baby piloting and our piloting for this school year.
San Nicolas National High School is one of the biggest public secondary schools in the Schools Division of Ilocos Norte, located in the historic and heritage town of San Nicolas. The school currently serves 2,429 enrollees, guided and supported by 129 dedicated teaching and non-teaching personnel committed to delivering quality and future-ready education. As part of the Department of Education's continuous efforts to strengthen learners' readiness for employment, San Nicolas National High School is selected as one of the pilot schools of the Enhanced Work Immersion Program. One of the major strengths of the pilot implementation is the school's strong industry partnerships. Another key strength is the presence of well-trained teachers and work immersion coordinators.
Ako po si Julian Paulo Ligorpa, dating mag-aaral sa San Nicolas National High School. Ako po ay produkto ng DD Pilot ng Work Immersion ng TVL. Ako po ay na-deploy sa McDonald's at pagkatapos ng aking graduation ay agad po akong na-hire. Nagpapasalamat po ako sa Enhanced Work Immersion dahil sa opportunity na ito.
The program also demonstrated high learner employability indicators. Many students displayed improved confidence, communication skills, and task competence. The students were also NC2 holders, signifying a successful outcome of the Enhanced Work Immersion program. The school emphasized holistic learner preparation, not only focusing on technical skills, but also on work ethics, professionalism, time management, and teamwork through the pre-work immersion enhancement programs. Lastly, the implementation of the Work Immersion Monitoring System, or WIMS, proved to be an innovative tool. It allowed efficient monitoring of attendance, task completion, and documentation, promoting accountability and transparency.
WIMS tool has been significantly helpful when it comes to us students in the work immersion and also the supervisors. It has helped supervisors or the work immersion teachers monitor the students through daily time-in logs and also monitor the work through journals and also the task management systems.
Itinapintas sa pagsayatan ko yun sa ma-monitor na ating pinag-log in and time out. And kay ibagbaga nga journal na maibagang dito ano na pinuprogram dito nag-immersion na.
So, good afternoon po. So, pagdating po dun sa pinopropose nyo po na site is para sa akin po kasi mas approachable siya kasi mas napapadali yung pag-evaluate dun sa mga students. And then, dun sa mga output naman po when it comes to journalism, mache-check po agad po dun kung tama po yung mga pinaglalagay po nila, sir. And then, yung ano naman po, sir, sa time in, time out, na-check din po agad namin kung talagang naka-time in yung bata po sa tamang oras po talaga. Yun lang po.
Overall, the pilot implementation of the Enhanced Work Immersion program at San Nicolas National High School has proven to be a meaningful and transformative initiative. Through collaboration, innovation, and continuous improvement, the school remains committed to producing competent, work-ready, and future-oriented graduates, true to its mission of delivering quality education anchored on real-world experience.
Ma'am Jopin has elaborated the observed challenges and issues for the implementation of our Enhanced Work Immersion program. And in her part this morning, we ensure as pilot schools continuously adapted and find ways of streamlining our processes. As we presented a while in the video, we deployed our work immersion monitoring system, which is an online platform wherein during our processes, we found our teachers disturbed when they monitor our students in the field. They tend to leave their classes and sometimes leave some of their schoolworks. So this pushed us to deploy the work immersion monitoring system at the second semester of 2024. And in our pilot implementation, we found some suggestions from our industry partners, from central office, and some of our students. So we are now coming up in the future as one of our ways forward, an application where we could download, like the ones that we've been downloading at the Google Play. So I want to present to you some of the strengths of our implementation of the work immersion program. So we have a very strong partnership with the different industries, identified industries, as partners of San Nicolas National High School. We enumerated them at the right side of the screen. McDonald's has most of our learners. Some restaurants, to the DICT, Creations Graphics, BPO, Sutherland, and soon we have already forged a partnership with Accenture for the next school year. Urban Wave, restaurants. If you will notice one logo there, it's the logo of San Nicolas National High School. In our pilot implementation this school year, the coordinators crafted a rubric wherein this rubric is based on their observations from the baby pilot schools, and we remained some students in our schools wherein we provided them, we capacitated them on technical, and most of them really, just to be honest, under soft skills. The coordinators were all well-trained. They are all NC2 holders. And they rigorously checked on the status of their learners. Kung merong nakikita sa WIMS na issue, takbo sila sa mga industries. But aside from those observations, meron din silang talagang regular monitoring. So we forged a team with the senior high school teachers, kahit hindi po sila TLE, kung kinakailangan lang na magkaroon ng sapat na tao upang mamonitor yung ating mga estudyante on the field. Very crucial po kasi yung engagement natin with the partner industries. Meron nga tayong mga industries na nagkakaroon ng issues, and at that point, takbo ka agad yung ating mga coordinators. We also have a high learner employability. So, dito po pinapakita natin sa ating baby pilot, 2 po yung diretso ng college, 6 po yung na-employ. May 4 na nag-stop po ng pag-aaral. And I'm very proud to say that lahat po ng ating mga nag-baby pilot at nag-pilot na estudyante sa ating TVL, Home Economics, 100% passers po sila ng NC2. So, ito po siya. Now, you might be asking, bakit po sa batch 2, 58% lang po yung pumasa? Tulad ng sinabi ko po kanina, nag-streamline po kami ng aming mga proseso, and yun nga po, mayroon po kaming mga na-identify na mga medyo struggling sa kanilang mga soft skills and some technical skills. That we addressed in our pre-immersion activities. Basically, nag-base po kami ng 420, but we allotted 10 days for the pre-immersion activity and post-immersion activity. Sa pre-immersion po, we invited partners like our alumni, sa mga BPLOs po, nag-invite po kami ng mga speakers para po makatulong, para po pagpasok po nila sa mga industries, medyo well-capacitated po sila. And talaga po medyo, to be honest, may mga nahihirapan pa rin po. Despite na meron pa rin po tayong mga efforts na ganito. Kaya ginawa po namin, we retained them yet in the schools. Some of them, after a week, 2 weeks, may 3 weeks din, bago po namin sila i-deploy. And ito po yung mga isinasama namin sa aming mga reports sa central office upang sa ganun, magkaroon po ng tamang mga datos kung ano po talaga yung nangyayari at estado ng mga learners natin. Because yung mga learners po natin sa, lalong-lalo na po sa amin sa probinsya, hindi po naman po sinasabing deprived, pero siyempre, may mga galing po sa mga liblib na lugar wherein medyo struggling pa rin po yung internet connection, transportation, etc. etc. Kaya yun po yung nakikita naming mga factors kung bakit medyo nahirapan ng konti ng ating mga estudyante. So, ito po yung mga na-identify naming mga threats. One is the distance of learners to the industry partners. We have 2 industry partner na nung una, okay pa. Pero pag after 2 months na naka-deploy na po yung bata, dumadami at dumadami po yung mga absences ng mga to. Only to find out, nahirapan pala yung bata financially sa pamasahe. Because I have 3 rides, 2 rides, ganun po. So, yun po yung mga feedback namin sa aming mga stakeholders. Kaya, yun, yung mga gagawan po natin ng paraan sa mga susunod na taon po. Lack of standard assessment tool provided for the school implementers. If we all know po, ang ginagamit pa rin po nating rubric or assessment tool ay yung DepEd DO number 8 series of 2015. Tama po? And yung 3 pa rin po ang ginagamit natin doon. So, medyo nag-a-adjust po tayo with the industry partner, and sana, isa sa mga suggestions po natin na kung may sa batas po yung ating enhanced senior high school curriculum, baka pwede po nating i-revisit yung assessment tool natin, a standard assessment tool for our learners. Student fatigue due to extended hours. Tama po ba ito, mga fellow teachers, na may mga fatigue ding nararamdaman yung ating mga estudyante? We have to understand that our learners na may hasa po talaga, lalo po yung mga baby nating mga to, produkto pa po ito ng pandemic. Sila po siguro yung mga grade 8, grade 9, or grade 10, yung mga grade 12 natin ngayon. Kaya naramdaman po natin na hindi sila gaanong nakaka-withstand ng pressure. So, yun po yung mga i-address natin. So, next. Yung pinakadulo po, deferred MOA processing. For this school year po, medyo nagka-problema po tayo sa MOA. In the context of San Nicolas National High School, maaga po kaming nakapag-forge ng MOA with our partners. But nagkaroon ng corrigendum doon sa MOA, doon sa template po natin, and we presented to our partners, medyo may mga questions. So, yun po, may mga nabalik at na-redeploy ng mga estudyante na sa mga industries. Another challenge po ay yung connectivity natin and technical limitations. Well, sa amin po sa San Nicolas National High School, because of our deployment with our WIMS, yung WIMS po kasi natin, naka-geotag na po siya. Kung halimbawa na nasa liblib po yung industry, magpipicture po kasi yung bata para malaman lamang yung eksaktong locations niya, katulad po ng map sa Google. Kaya hindi po talaga makakapagsinungaling yung bata kung totoong nasa loob siya ng industry o nasa bahay. Kasi may mga pangyayari din po kasi kaming nakita nung unang deployment namin na hindi pa kami naka-geotag, medyo may mga challenges po tayo rito sa attendance monitoring system. Naglalag pero wala po sa site. Kaya yun po, kapag mahirap po yung internet, hindi po rin sila makakapag-access sa ating WIMS, because through the WIMS kasi, doon rin po nalalagay yung mga kanilang mga daily journals. Yung parent, pwede rin makipag-interact yung parent. Yung mga industry partner natin na in charge sa mga learners natin, pwede rin po silang maglagay na rin ng kanilang mga grades doon sa ating WIMS system. Perhaps the last one is the delayed completion of work immersion hours due to class suspensions and other activities. With the overlapping activities of the Department of Education based on our school calendars, LGU events, contests, sports events, etc. Ito po yung mga sometimes challenges din natin, because sometimes yung mga immersion students natin, players din, participants sa mga events, journalists, etc. So, yun din po yung ating mga challenges minsan. And ipipresent ko rin po yung aming sariling ecosystem doon sa San Nicolas National High School and how we could best perhaps develop our work immersion students. So, we have the DepEd, we have the industry partners, we have our LGU, and the school. Isineparate po namin yung school kasi dito na po nakapaloob yung ating mga stakeholders like the alumni, PTA. Holistic po kasi yung atake ng ating eskwelahan para masuportahan po yung ating mga estudyante and With that po, maraming salamat, and I would be glad to hear some questions later po during our panel. Good afternoon.
Wow! Strong industry partnership. And then the most important part ng discussion ni Sir is yung pagdi-deliver niya ng mga problems or weaknesses ng implementation ng senior high school work immersion. Tama ba? Yun yung gusto nating bigyan ng solusyon. Now, thank you to our speakers for their insight and comprehensive discussion. May I call on again Ma'am Redeline, Sir Jose, Doc J, and Sir Florante, and also Director Mark for our photo opportunity. Ayan. Sige, so habang inaayos ang ating stage for panel discussion, sige po, punta po tayo dito. Director Mark. Okay, sige, photo op po muna tayo. Sige, tara po kayo dito. Sige po. Okay, sige. So, let's arrange ourselves na lang po dito. Sige, dikit na lang po tayo dito, Director. Okay? Sige, sino po ang magpipicture sa amin? Lahat na lang po kayo siguro, picturean nyo kami, di ba? O sige, maglabas kayo lahat ng camera ninyo. Tapos i-post ninyo, titag nyo kaming lahat. Okay, sige. So, okay. Kahit na ba naman plans yan? Okay, so thank you very much po. Ayan, ang dami naming picture. Lahat sila kumuha ng picture. Okay, sige. We will begin our panel discussion starting with a few questions to deepen our understanding about work immersion program. I think meron tayong mga representatives, tama ba, from Mayamot National High School. Where are you? Students ng Mayamot National High School, itaas nga ang mga kamay natin dyan. O, ayan na yun sila, magtatanong din daw sila mamaya. Okay, sige. Okay, mga experts and discussion. Isa lang po yung itatanong natin and then mag-i-entertain po tayo ng tanong na galing mismo sa mga learners. Kasi ang senior high school work immersion program is para po talaga sa mga bata. Okay, our first question is, during work immersion, do you find that students struggle more with their technical tasks or with soft skills like punctuality, teamwork, and communication? Di ba kasi nabanggit din ni Sir kanina about doon sa nag-i-struggle yung mga bata doon sa soft skills, right? Tama po ba, Sir? Sige, unahin na po natin si Doc J. Doc J?
Hello. Well, because the industry landscape in Muntinlupa is quite diverse, it would depend on the industry you ask. For example, if you talk to Capital One, which is a call center company, the response would veer towards the soft skill. But if you ask Meralco, for example, the response would be different. I think the case is not either or, but it should be and. That means while we develop technical skills, learners must also be immersed in engagements that allow them to explore soft skills, not just explore, master soft skills. And the curriculum must be deliberate in pinpointing soft skills and technical skills that would enable our students to thrive in the industry. That's where the industry becomes critical, because in shaping the curriculum, we must really consult them and make them tell us exactly what they desire our learners to manifest or show. Kung ang curriculum ay prescribed at the national level, we can still localize or contextualize the curriculum to make it responsive to local demands. So in the context of Muntinlupa, we really engage them through the Muntinlupa Business Advisory Council, where they tell us, ang bata ninyo ganito ang kulang. I think we have to work on this and that. That kind of discussion is crucial to ensure that the question about soft or hard skills becomes soft and technical skills.
Okay, oh. It depends upon the industry application talaga, no? Kung talagang call center or BPO applicant, kailangan magaling ka talaga sa communication skills, and then kung nasa industrial arts ka naman, more on technical skills. Okay, thank you po, Doc J and Ma'am Agup.
Good afternoon once
Good afternoon
again.
po, ma'am.
My experience on this is while I was the quality management system manager, I was tasked to evaluate the feedback from the industry. So meron kaming evaluation form. After the immersion, ibabalik yun ng bata. So there are ratings for soft skills, and there are ratings for the real technical skills that they are learning from the industry. So may grades sila. And when I analyze those, because sometimes we get this feedback but we do not analyze them, we made a research and analyzed all of those evaluation sheets, and one thing was glaring. If you look at problems on, for example, punctuality and attendance, and you compare it with the punctuality and attendance of their teachers, it is directly proportional to,
Okay.
how they are disciplined as teachers, and it really radiates to the students. So as we are teaching our learners, we should be integrating the soft skills with their technical skills. So the competency standards are really developed separately, the units of competency for 21st century skills or the soft skills, but the intention is really when you teach them, you integrate the soft skills while they are already performing the technical skills, so that when they go to the industry, they are ready. So kaya nga workplace simulation yung ginagawa natin. Kasama po sa workplace simulation yung dapat yung punctuality and attendance nila ay strict dapat yung teacher, strict din siya sa sarili niya kasi ano yon. And of course, yung mga iba pang soft skills na very important, yung customer relations, yung mga ganun. Dapat during the simulation, you are also teaching them, but more importantly, you should also be assessing those soft skills even in the classroom or workshop settings.
Nice. Kasi si TESDA, the basic competencies of TESDA kasi based on TR is focusing, or ang pinaka-core niya is yung 21st century skills. Tama po ba, ma'am?
Yes, there are
Okay.
9 21st century skills that will include decision making, we have ICT, we have problem solving, and
Critical thinking,
critical
communications,
thinking skills.
ayan,
Yes.
lahat.
So,
Okay.
lahat na yon, communication skills, team skills. So, all of those are separate as units of competency, but the intention is when you teach the core or the technical skills, you should be integrating them
Yes.
with the technical skills.
Okay. Thank you po, Ma'am Agub. Sir Jose Santos.
Both. So,
Okay.
pag pumasok sila ng training, they struggle with both soft skills and technical skills. But I think yung expectation kasi is as long as you improve in your soft skills, you will improve sa technical. Whereas the other way around, medyo mahirap. Bihira lang yung may technical pero walang soft skills. Kasi kung mahiyain ka, hindi ka nagtatanong, absent ka palagi, mahirap matuto ng technical skills. So, it's not if they struggle with one more than the other. I think sa simula, they'll struggle more with soft skills. Kasi bago yung environment, bago yung mga tao, puro adults in the workplace. But as time goes on, we've seen nga na they've come out of their shell and they end up striving. So, I think one is connected to the other. Tama si Ma'am Red. You can't teach technical without soft skills and vice versa. So, I think coming into the training, they struggle with both. Exiting the training, we can't say that they've mastered both, but definitely they've improved.
That's correct po. Very well said po, sir. Talaga naman, kailangan naman talagang ituro or i-enhance yung soft skills and then technical skills ng mga bata para pasok talaga doon sa application nila for industry needs. Okay? Sir?
In the context of the Department of Education and perhaps for San Nicolas National High School, to be specific, with regards to technical skills po kasi, nakapaloob na po sa competency natin sa curriculum. And really, kung may struggle yung mga bata with regards to their technical skills, ganun din po yung mga teachers. Though NC2 po ang mga teachers natin. But due to some factors minsan, nakakaroon po talaga ng struggle. So, likewise, yung estudyante, struggling din yung outcome ng mga technical na naibibigay po natin. But I have to give credence to our teachers kasi kahit gaano kahirap yung sitwasyon natin and how to provide them all the necessary skills that we wanted them to be, nagagawa ng paraan. Okay. With regards naman po sa soft skills po natin, thriving po yun eh. Kasi iba yung soft skills sila when they are in the school context. Kaya nga po, nagkakaroon kami ng pre-immersion activities. Kasi kahit na nakikita na namin na, okay, ang taas na ng grade ng mga to, pwede na silang i-deploy. But when they go to the industry, they were deployed to the industries, nagbabago po eh. Naranasan ko po yan kasi when we interviewed them, nagkaroon kami ng mga simulations sa school. Ang galing ng mga bata. Kasi bugbog yan ng mga training sa schools. Pagdating sa industry, ewan ko pa, parang na may mental blackout na po sila, nagbabago.
Parang bumababa yung confidence nila, no?
Opo. Only to find out, nag-a-adjust pa pala sila. That's why, through the AWIP, napakaganda po nito kasi as days goes by po, nagkakaroon sila ng confidence, nagkakaroon sila ng rapport, nagkakaroon sila ng working relationships doon sa mga regular employees. Yung soft skills po nila at yung mga technical skills po nila, thriving. So, napaka-importante po talaga na continuing yung ating mga trainings sa mga bata. Opo. So, yun lang po yung naging observations namin for this past 2 years na napahaba po yung ating work immersion program.
Continue training ng soft skills and then technical skills. I think this question is para kay Ma'am Agob. Ma'am Agob, may tanong from Region 3. Can Tech-Voc schools become assessment center and how?
All Tech-Voc schools can be assessment centers. There is a separate accreditation for assessment centers, separate from registration of their training program.
Merong sariling quality assurance and requirements. Magbe-base din dapat sa TR. Tama po ba? Kasi nandun yung mga tools and equipments and then other requirements for assessment center.
Yes. Pareho yung equipment nung training at saka yung assessment. Ideally, the assessment center should have its own equipment. Pero kung hindi naman sabay yung training and yung assessment, still they can make use of the other equipment from the school.
Okay.
Pero during registration, all of the equipment will be checked.
So, ibig sabihin pala kapag naabot ng public school or yung mga schools natin from division, yung requirements or minimum requirements, pwede talaga ma-accredit as assessment center. Okay.
Right.
As venue. Okay. Para
Right
hindi na...
now, yung schools na high schools that are not yet accredited as assessment centers, they can be accredited as assessment venues. Meaning, they are technically reporting to an accredited assessment center as a partner, but they can already have the assessment in the assessment venue with the supervision of the assessment center.
Para lang ma-clarify natin sa kanila, so when we say assessment venue, doon po ginaganap yung assessment. Tama po ba? And then yung partner assessment center, yung pupunta doon sa assessment venue. Tama po ba, ma'am?
Yes, the
Okay.
administrative processes will be supervised by the accredited assessment
Assessor.
centers. Hindi pa pwedeng maghawak ng assessment tools ang venue.
Tama.
So, yung pag-a-apply para sa assessment, doon din sa accredited assessment center, pre-na-process.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ma'am Agub. I think meron tayong representative coming from Mayamot National High School. Meron po ba? Meron tayong isa? Doon po ang Mayamot National High School. Student po ang magtatanong. Ayun po, ma'am. Sa dulo po. Ayan. Yan pong naka-white, blue na student natin doon sa likod. Yan. Yan sila. Dami pala nila. Dami nilang gusto magtanong. Sige, I think siguro isa or dalawa pwede na. Okay, sige. Senior High School Work Immersion Program talaga is, yung purpose niya is to help or to prepare our students para sa workforce sa industry. Sige, anak, you may introduce yourself and then kung saan school ka. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon po. I'm Lance Jairus Kapulong po from Mayamot National High School, Antipolo. And yung question ko po is, gaya po ng EBET or EBET, may possibilities po ba na mai-align or ma-upgrade yung mga ginagamit sa practice sa school upang mas maging effective yung paggamit ng mga skills sa work immersion and mahabol po natin yung skill gap?
Sir.
Ayun po, thank you po.
Pardon?
Pardon nga, anak. Sige, lakasan mo yung...
Ano po, may possibilities po ba na mai-align or mai-upgrade yung mga ginagamit sa practice sa school upang mas maging effective yung paggamit ng mga skills sa work immersion po? And mahabol po din natin yung skill gap.
Okay, the context of learner is about tools and equipments,
Yes,
right?
po.
Okay. Sir.
Possible na ma-upgrade lahat yung mga equipments, if that's what you're referring to. Tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, yung technical skills natin, thriving dapat yan. May continuing training. Yung, for example na lang sa computer, anak, dati, PC ang ginagamit natin. Pero sa susunod na taon, baka laptop-based na tayo, then maya-maya, tablets na. So, yun, ang ibig ko lang sabihin is, nakahanda rin sana tayong mga estudyante sa mga pagbabagong ito ng ating, lalong-lalo na yung teknolohiya. Oo, possible yun at ginagawa naman yan ng ating Department of Education o yung ating gobyerno. Lalo ngayon, tumaas na po yung budget ng ating Department of Education. For sure, yung mga na-deploy na gamit 5 years back, 10 years back na PCs, papalitan ngayon yan ng mga bagong equipments. Same as true with sa mga iba't ibang mga strands sa bread and pastry production, sa cookery, yung mga equipments sa dati 5 years back, 10 years back, papalitan na ngayon ng mga magagandang ovens or mga magagandang equipment para maka-cope up naman tayo sa kinakailangan ng henerasyon natin.
Ayan, oo naman, syempre, nakasupport sa atin ng Department of Education para sa pag-supply ng tools and equipments. Si ate.
Good afternoon po. I am Maria Saida Montesor from Mayamot National High School and I'm taking food technology po. So my question lang po is, it is stated earlier po na yung work immersion ng next year for the Tech-Voc curriculum is magiging 640 hours na po. So, paano po natin mai-ensure na yung allotted time ng classroom training po is enough to develop the skills and competencies po ng mga students na needed for the students to perform effectively po during work immersion. Since po sa work immersion, ang ina-enhance po talaga natin is yung skills po ng students. Paano po natin may ensure po na before po sila sumabak sa work immersion is enough na po yung time na meron sila para po karoon po talaga ng enough knowledge. Yun lang po.
Okay, that is our last question. Sasagot si Ma'am Agub and then si Dr. J. Ma'am.
Okay, ideally, yun nga, yung first question kanina is on equipment. So ideally, dapat yung tools and equipment sa industry ay namimimik nung workshop. But that is ideal. We all know na masyadong mabilis yung pagpapalit ng technology like in computer, hindi rin natin mabibili yung mga mahal na equipment na nandoon sa industry. That's why there is an immersion.
Okay.
Because the immersion should compensate what is lacking in the workshop. So yun yung ano natin. And as to the time, ganun din. The number of hours that are devoted to training is for training, but also it should also compensate yung time mo doon sa industry. So yun ngang dapat na kung wala kang equipment at hindi mo talaga ma-practice doon sa school or doon sa workshop mo, yun dapat ang i-emphasize doon sa training mo sa industry. So, ganun yung dapat set up. Hindi yung uulitin mo lang yung pre-practice mo na doon sa school, kundi ma-enhance dapat nung immersion, and you should be able to be exposed to more technical skills in the industry, and then you will also be exposed to the advanced technologies and equipment in the industry. So hindi natin talaga kayang habulin yung equipment na nandoon sa industry.
Thank you po, ma'am. Sige, Doc J, simplihan na
Alright.
natin.
Actually, i-address ko lang din yung naunang question about materials. Sa local, ang city should invest in upgrading our laboratories through the Special Education Fund. Sa amin, because I serve as the school board secretary, laging mayroong pondo ang mga laboratorio ng schools. Ngayon, we are scheduled to upgrade yung laboratorio ng Kupang Senior High School na mayroong representative sa forum para mas maging akma doon sa curriculum. So we can explore not just national funding but the local funding to ensure that our schools would meet standards in terms of facilities. Sa pangalawang tanong, I think it ties a lot of factors. Ang una, gusto kong sabihin na bago naman mag-o-offer ng TVL course, mayroong validation phase yan eh. Diba? You cannot offer a TVL program if you do not have the internal capacity to offer. Our policy pickup is DO54, if I'm not mistaken. Ngayon, I think there's a need for us to strengthen this evaluation aspect to ensure that our TVLs would meet standards doon sa pag-implement nila ng mga programa. Pangalawa, sa pakikipag-usap namin sa industry, hindi naman sila masyadong concerned doon sa extent of training. In fact, sinasabi ng industry, habaan nyo lang ang oras, basta dalahin nyo sa amin. Kasi ititrain pa din naman namin sila ulit eh. Diba? So yung talent integration program, pag mahaba-haba, that gives the industry leeway to train our TVL learners according to the standards of the company where they were actually engaged as a WI learner. So we should not look at WI as an exit. Rather, it's an opportunity for the learners to expand understanding of technical skills and at the same time, allow them to see that whatever they've learned in the classrooms may not necessarily match the demand of the industry. And the WI framework exactly bridges the gap between what was taught in the classroom and what the industries expect. So, the focus really have to be engaging the partners. Ang sabi nga ng aming MBAC chair, sabihin nyo sa mga industries na kapag nag-hire sila, nag-engage sila ng WI learners, may steady pool of employees na sila in the future kasi matitrain naman nila yan tapos according to their desired specification. So wala pa ding problema doon.
Okay.
Just quickly lang, I just want to stress that point, no. Don't look at work immersion as an exit na yes, gusto natin magkaroon ng trabaho, but you're there to learn. So don't think that you need to enter work immersion na alam nyo na lahat, na prepared na kayo. You're there primarily to learn. The expectation of industry is that you're there to learn and that they're going to teach you. So don't think na kailangan nyo mag-prepare para sa hours na yan. Huwag kayo matakot at huwag kayo manervyos. Just what you learn in the experience itself is something that you need to experience there. And sometimes it's hard to prepare for that. So huwag lang kayo matakot. Just go and experience it for yourself.
Okay, syempre, grabe yung comprehensive ng mga sagot ng ating mga expert, no? So, thank you very much po, experts. Your expertise has really helped our viewers and participants gain a deeper understanding about senior high school work immersion program. Palakpakan po natin sila, please. Okay, maraming salamat po ulit. Thank you po, experts.
May we request our panelists to please remain on stage for the awarding of certificate. So once again, thank you to our moderator and of course to our panelists for emphasizing the importance of immersion. We also invite Director Magsalin to award the certificate of recognition. Here's the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, DepEd Complex, Meralco Avenue, Pasig City. Certificate of recognition. This certificate is presented to our panelists. In recognition of invaluable contributions as panel speaker during the National Tech-Voc Summit held at the Great Eastern Hotel, Quezon City on January 28, 2026. Given this 28th day of January 2026 in Quezon City, Philippines. Signed, Carmela C. Oracion, Assistant Secretary, Officer in Charge, Office of the Undersecretary for Learning System. Once again, let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much. We certainly had a very lively discussion, which includes not just our fellow educators, but also the participation of our learners. This time, we now move on to our final panel discussion, benchmarking success in public and private technical-vocational education. We give the floor to our facilitator, Senior Education Program Specialist of the Bureau of Learning Delivery, Blonde Tuliao. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you very much, our MCs. Good afternoon, everyone. We warmly welcome you now to the third and final panel discussion entitled Benchmarking Success in Public and Private Technical-Vocational Education. Technical education plays a significant role in preparing learners for real-world employment. However, ensuring its quality, relevance, and impact requires continuous assessment and improvement. And this is where benchmarking becomes essential. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our resource persons for this third panel discussion. Our first RP is a hardworking educational leader who is eager to bring education stakeholders into the 21st century using a unique combination of inclusive education coupled with 30 years of experience in teaching and practitioner of educational management and supervision. He finished diploma in development education as a provincial government of Batanes scholar. Aside from finishing his degree in agricultural education in CSU Piat. He also finished Master of Arts in Teaching Technology, Home Economics, and Entrepreneurship as a DepEd NAIOP scholar. ADAP Public Management Development Program, PMDP Senior Executive Class Scholar of Batch 2, Class Aguila, Master in Development Management. He completed the Superintendent's Leadership Program, 12 modules, Batch 3. An Assistant Regional Director of Region 2, Career Executive Service Officer 4, who also participated in the PhD Educational Management Program of De La Salle University under the DepEd NAIOP BLSU Australian Aid Consortium. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together for Assistant Regional Director Florante Teng Vergara.
Thank you very much for that generous introduction to Director Mark Magsalin, my fellow panelists, lecturers, industry partners, educational leaders, regional TLE, TVE supervisors, division as well, and of course the most important persons why we are all here, the learners, the students from the various identified schools. I am Florante Vergara, the Assistant Regional Director of Region 2. I am representing my director, Director Benjamin Diaz Paragas, who instructed me instead of him to present because he know that I am in the best position to share with you the experiences being a graduate of an agricultural school, both in high school and college, teacher in agricultural school, principal in an agricultural school, of course, product of the former Tech-Voc specialist from the time of Ma'am Giyang, Director Bert Blumo, Director De Lumen, Ma'am Campos Valles Milagros, and of course, our Director Mark Magsalin now. So I'm here to present Region 2's final presentation of our project R2 ACES. So it is an honor to share how technical vocational education training or TVET continues to transform within DepEd especially in Region 2 particularly, and how we assure the quality, credibility, and reliability of the Tech-Voc or the TVET programs. So as you can see, the meaning of ACES stands for Assessment Center Expansion Schools. In Cagayan Valley region, we have only 5 assessment centers during the inception of this program. But because of Project R2 ACES, we were able to increase up from 5 to 13 assessment centers already. So there are still schools that continuously undergoing processing as assessment center. We have been benchmarked by other regional offices, especially in our assessment center schools. It directly responds to the increasing demand for competency assessment brought about by the full implementation of the senior high school PVL program and DepEd Order Number 3 Series of 2025. So the outline of my presentation would be, of course, first I will present the rationale of the project, the significant achievements, and the strategic directions or the ways forward. First, we will discuss the rationale and implementation of Project R2 ACES, why it was initiated, and how it was designed to address access and data gaps. Second, we will highlight the project's significant achievements, focusing on assessment expansion and strengthen data integrity. And finally, we will present our strategic directions and ways forward ensuring sustainability and continuous improvement of data assurance mechanisms. So here, in this slide, we can see here the 216 TVL schools in Region 2. I wish to inform you that we are second in the entire country of the most number of Tech-Voc schools, original Tech-Voc schools, second to Region 8. So here you can see the various Tech-Voc schools in the 9 schools division office in Region 2. DepEd Order Number 3. Series of 2025 institutionalized quality-based assured competency assessment for all senior high school TVL learners. This policy elevated assessment from an optional activity to mandatory requirement, making access, readiness, and data accuracy critical. The order also emphasized that the need for standardized DepEd managed and TESDA-aligned assessment systems, increasing pressure on existing assessment infrastructure. Before the challenge of Region 2, before the project, our students served the entire region. Learners were forced to travel long distances in Kai, Harcos, or missed national certification opportunities together, so they weren't able to get their certification. Some divisions had 0 assessment centers, resulting in equitable access and inconsistent certification data. These challenges revealed that without expanding assessment centers in our own public schools, data assurance would remain weak and fragmented. So the goals and objectives of the project, of course, you can see here, the general objective of Project R2ASS to increase the number of DepEd accredited assessment centers and designated assessment venues and improve access for senior TVL learners to test the national certification. These are the specific objectives: expand assessment centers and designated assessment venues, promote equity, support DO3 2025, and decentralize the network. The next slide would speak on the R2ASS ACE factor, meaning ACE stands for accreditation or access, C is for certification, and eventually when these children will be able to get their certification for the various levels, empowerment, whether they go to the usual technical vocational higher courses, like my case. By decentralizing assessment and localizing services, schools are empowered to function as assessment centers and designated venues. This approach removes barriers such as travel costs and distance, especially for learners in geographically isolated and disadvantageous areas. Batanes is a GDAS province, and other areas in Isabela and in Nueva Vizcaya. Beyond infrastructure, R2ASS builds institutional confidence and transforms assessment into a learner-centered inclusive system. So how shall we implement this? You can see here the implementation plan of Project R2ASS for 2025 to 2026. We have launched and planned. We have mapped and identified the schools to be assessed, no? And to be included in the project. We built, of course, we capacitate our officials, including the teachers, and we partner with TESDA in terms of its 15 mandatory audit tool. Like the Project Aral, we have also an audit tool readiness for all the participating schools. So after that, we accredit with TESDA and, of course, implement the project and monitor and report. So that is our implementation. And the timeline will be R2ASS implementation schedule for 2025 to 2026. You can see here the timeline. This slide presents the project life cycle from mobilization and planning to site mapping, readiness audit, TESDA compliance, validation, and final reporting. Each milestone was designed to balance speed with quality, ensuring no compromise in standards while accelerating access. The systematic timeline laid the foundation for reliable and verifiable data generation. So in here, you can see our R2ASS mapping and monitoring tool. This is DepEd Region 2 designed monitoring tool. while the next slide would speak about the 15 mandatory audit tool required by the Technical Skills Development Authority. So in the monitoring tool, we just get the basic information and of course the profile of the school. Okay na? There is the 15 mandatory requirement from TESDA. And napaka-konti lang po yan, pero napakahigpit po yan, ang 15 na sinasabi ko. Because even in the absence of one only, the school cannot be accredited as assessment center. At marami din pong napaiyak na school head dyan dahil sa higpit po ng TESDA with that. To ensure data-driven implementation, we developed the R2ACES along with TESDA, the 15 audit tools, standards before accreditation, minimizing delays and rework. So you can see there that R2ACES tracker monitors assessment center and designated assessment venues, applications, while the NC assessment tracker monitors learner certification outcomes, strengthening data completeness and reliability. So this part of the presentation in the next slide would highlight how project R2ACES moves beyond implementation and ensures that assessment data is not only collected, but assured, analyzed, and used meaningfully. Under R2ACES, we establish a clear TVET life cycle, as you can see in the cycle or the concept cycle here, from training delivery, from training delivery in senior high school TVL schools, to competency assessment through DepEd accredited assessment centers to national certification issuance, and even up to NCCT issuance aligned with TESDA training rules and regulations. At every stage in the process, data is captured, validated, monitored using the R2ACES mapping tool, readiness audit tool, and assessment trackers to ensure that assessment data is accurate, timely, complete, and reliable. More importantly, R2ACES transforms data into decision support system. The data generated allows us to identify underserved divisions, prioritize the expansion of assessment centers, and monitor certification outcomes across the regions. So here is our significant achievement during the time that we implemented R2ACES in 2025. And very happy to tell that our program owner or the author of this is our regional TLE supervisor, Dr. Marian Jaros, who is with me today. Palakpakan naman po si Ma'am Marian. Together with, of course, the Region 2 team, the EPS in TLE, Cagayan Division, Ma'am Meli Cuarteros, and the principal of Cabarogis School of Arts and Trades, Dr. Richard Subia, who has been birthmarked by Region 4A, Sir Bert and Ma'am Loida Nidea Walbak. Through a deliberate data-driven approach, the project achieved a major milestone, the establishment from 5 to 13 newly operationalized DepEd accredited assessment centers across Region 2. So that, to me, the number is small, but that is already great because we surpassed 100% of our target from 5 to 10, nagiging 13 po siya. These centers are strategically located based on verifiable data on school competencies, learner volume, and local industry needs. This expansion goes beyond infrastructure. Bringing assessment centers to closer schools has reduced travel time, lowered assessment costs, and sped up access to national certification, significantly decreasing reliance on external TESDA facilities. So the impact is also evident in the data. The number of established AC increased significantly from 5 in 2024 to 13 as of December 2025. Correspondingly, NC takers rose from 4,500 in 2023 to 2024 to 5,267 in 2024 to 2025. While the number of passers increased from 4,096 to 4,870, that resulted in an improvement in passing rate from 89 to 92.5%. For 2025 to 2026, the region is targeting 10,800 NC takers with a passing rate of 100%. So the district area of competence, here you can see the competence, the DAC or the distinct area of competence. We can see that we strengthen the capacity of schools division officers by deepening their understanding and application of DepEd and TESDA standards. The project also reinforced DepEd TESDA collaboration. A key strategy was targeted in benchmarking and interregional learning. More importantly, we also hosted, we are conducting the start of the school year assessment, the mid-year assessment for this activity, and of course, the convergence of Tech-Voc schools in Region 2, including that the benchmarking of Region 4A Calabarzon, in Nueva Vizcaya and Quirino, providing hands-on technical assistance and showcasing functional areas. No? So our strategic directions for this project is outlined in this slide, expected output. So you can see the various points there: enhanced readiness, strengthened partnership, policy support, best practices, improved accessibility, reduced dependency, expanded access, and accredited centers. Of course, our ways forward, technical assistance and capability building are our success indicators: number of new AC accredited, number of schools supported, and the percentage of learners assessed. And then the ultimate impact is transforming delivery into responsive, accessible, and learner-centered system that promotes equity and employability. The PIR Hill will be a number of designated assessment venues established, the number of personnel trainer-oriented, and compliance rate for the trainee. And to sum up my presentation would be the success stories that highlight the real impact of accessibility, accessible TVET certification for this particular activity, like the case of Kennedy John T. Gasper. As you can see this, a dressmaking NC2 holder from San Mateo Vocational and Industrial School completed his senior high school immersion in Bambam Lampitok Fashion House, pursued fashion and textile technology as a degree, and later designed national costumes for Miss Universe Cameroon and 2021 Miss Universe Nigeria, earning international recognition. Itong nasa kaliwa po siya. Siya po si Jasper. Pangalawa po ito is si Marlon Balunsat, a graduate of Itawes National Agricultural Technical School, the school where I graduated from in high school. Applied his senior high school immersion experience in the Department of Agriculture in LGU-Tuao, and then established the Balunsat Diversified Farm, proving that he was trained by the Agricultural Training Institute of the DA, proving that agriculture and entrepreneurship can thrive together. He now serves as a senior high school teacher 1, inspiring future TVET learners. So ito po yung vertical alignment from the junior to the senior to the degree, at the same time doing entrepreneurship. JNC Salvador, to the right, of course, from Solano High School's senior high school TVL track, completed his immersion in Balasi Secretariat Training Center and is now a computer system servicing NC2 trainer of the same institution, using his certification to build a career while mentoring others. These journers show how TVET and national certification transform skills into tangible opportunities for our learners, whether in global design, in agriculture, in education, or other related TVET programs. Beyond the data, these stories remind us that every learner represents a future shaped by competence, confidence, and opportunity. Kennedy, Marlon, and Jancy exemplify how the senior high school TVL track empowers learners to choose their own pathways, turning acquired skills into meaningful careers and dreams into reality. Project R2ASS certifies our youth and empowers our future, strengthens senior high school curriculum exits by ensuring that the senior high school TVL learners graduate with nationally recognized certifications, making them truly job-ready, employable, or prepared for further technical professional pathways. By enabling accessible school-based assessment, R2ASS supports a seamless transition from senior high school TVL to technical professional track, positioning TVL as a strong and viable pathway within the strengthened senior high school framework. through a learner-centered, inclusive, and data-assured assessment system, and backed by strong DepEd TestDat partnerships and continuous innovation, DepEd Region 2 leads the way in TVET excellence, ensuring no learner is left behind and every skill becomes a real opportunity. Thank you very much and blessed afternoon.
Yes, what a great presentation from Assistant Regional Director Teng Vergara. Thank you so much po, sir. They are not just aiming to become an area of competence, but to become an accredited assessment center. So Region 2 is having their project R2 ACES, Access, Certification, Empowerment for Senior High School Education. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for ARD Vergara. So, our next resource speaker, or our second panelist, is a distinguished TVET leader, accreditation expert, and policy strategist with extensive contributions across Asia and the Pacific. Under the auspices of President APAC, Professor Dr. Surish K. Damija, he spearheaded the modernization and full recalibration of the APAC Accreditation Framework 2025. As Chief APAC Officer, aligning it with global benchmarks, Industry 4.0 to 5.0 transitions, digital quality assurance, and KPI-driven institutional excellence. His leadership ensures APAC's role as the region's premier mechanism for institutional accreditation, evaluation, benchmarking, and capacity enhancement. At CPSC, or Colombo Plan Staff College, he serves simultaneously as faculty specialist, chairperson for the Projects and Consultancy Division, and head of the ICT Division, leading regional programs, consultancy missions, and digital transformation initiatives across 16 member countries. He was recognized for strengthening institutional systems, implementing quality assurance reforms, conducting institutional capacity assessments, and advancing industry-aligned, future-ready TVET models. An alumnus of the U.S. Department of State's UMASS Community College Administrator Program and a certified master trainer from Guangzhou, China Industrial Training Center. He brings international pedagogical and governance experience to capacity building, accreditation, and institutional development. His academic background includes an MPhil Philippines in Governance and Public Policy and a bachelor's in Industrial Textile Engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, the dignified man I am referring to is the Chief of Asia Pacific Accreditation and Certification Commission, or APAC, of the Colombo Plan Staff College. Let us give it up for Professor Naim Yakub.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a generous introduction of mine. And today I realized that my introduction is too boring. So I'll try to tweak it a little bit, making it a little bit more funny, comic. So my apologies for such a long introduction. I mean, my short introduction is, my name is Professor Naeem Yaqub, and I'm a faculty specialist in Colombo Plan Staff College. And in addition to that, I'm also serving as a chief for Asia Pacific Accreditation and Certification Commission. So in past a few years, I have been responsible to steer the Prime Minister's youth skill initiatives in Pakistan. I've also served in a number of countries before coming to Philippines. And now I'm here in Philippines, officially posted on my foreign posting by the virtue of my country, Government of Pakistan. So thank you so much. Tech-Voc system, persistent challenges everywhere. So whenever you talk about the Tech-Voc, you'll find a lot of challenges, whether this may be the challenges with reference to the quality of Tech-Voc, social stigma, you talk about the relevance, you talk about the equity, you talk about inclusivity, equality, persistent challenges all across the globe, whatever the country it may be. Whether this may be a country in the Southeast Asia, South Asia, Pacific region, Western countries, European countries, Americans, like wherever you say, Tech-Voc is facing a lot of persistent issues and the challenges. Before starting my presentation, I would like to enlighten a little bit on the root cause factors of these challenges. Have you ever asked this kind of a question? Why all these challenges are not being faced by journal education sector? What are the reasons why Tech-Voc sector is so irrelevant with context of society, with context of community? You know, it's because of the dichotomy of the journal education from the Tech-Voc. And whenever I have my meeting, I have my meetup with Director Sir McSallen, I always ask him for one thing. Why Philippines is right now working to de-dichotomize the Tech-Voc sector from the education? Let me take you back into the 17th century. Who knows about Thomas Watt, the guy who invented the first steam engine? My question to every one of you is, was he a Tech-Voc guy? Or was he a journal academician? Nobody knows. Up till the advent of Industrial Revolution 1.0, there was no concept of Tech-Voc, skill development, and journal education. And all of a sudden, mankind witnessed an era of Industrial Revolution 2.0. And what was that? That was mechanization. The mankind was required to work in the factories, mechanically operate the machines for the massive productions. That was where the dichotomy of the Tech-Voc and the education came around. And after that, mankind kept on working on dichotomizing the practices in Industrial Revolution 3.0, 4.0, and see, now it's the era of IR 5.0. And what do you think? Industrial Revolution 5.0, which actually started in 2025, requires what kind of an interventions from the mankind? It's again the restoration of all those practices which we actually dichotomized in 17th or 18th century to make the educational and the Tech-Voc sector practices more mechanized, more industrialized. So Industrial Revolution 5.0 is again about the restoration of mankind. It's again about the restoration of the mother globe, Earth. That is why now we are talking about sustainability, we are talking about inclusivity, we are talking about eco-friendly services, we are talking about equity, equality, because now we want to restore everything. Again, point to zero back. So this particular presentation will entail a few things for you. why the global standards are actually reshaping themselves now. What's the requirement? Now, if you just produce a plumber, that plumber is irrelevant with the market unless he comes to know what are the global practices and how a globally compliant skilled workforce can be produced. Of course, by producing globally compliant TVET establishments. Now the dichotomy of the TVET from the general education is almost minimal. So let's embark on this particular journey. This particular era is actually an era of rapid industrialization and modernization. It's a machine-human interactivity era. What do you think? A conventional orthodoxic plumber, welder, or electrician will be suitable for this particular era? No, absolutely not. It's an era of integration of technologies. Like for example, at one time, it used to be a professional chef or cook. But now food technology got integrated into the professional chef. And he became food technologist. Likewise, when you talk about a number of other skills, like for example, for plumber, renewable energy got integrated into it. So now he is actually an energy conservationist. So after 2025, with more emergence of artificial intelligence, a number of skills will die. We have a lot of people right now sitting with us who once used to be illustrator or Corel Draw experts. But do we need that right now? No. Because AI is actually reshaping everything. A number of skills are dying. I prepared this presentation while sitting on this table within just 1 minute. So do I need Microsoft PowerPoint? I'm sorry to Microsoft, but actually a number of skills are actually reshaping themselves. So artificial intelligence, the new era of skills, it's actually reshaping. So when you talk about the reshaping, it means that your institutions are no longer TVET institutions or the general education institutions. Now it's a de-dichotomized educational establishments. What is that? It's not working. Oh, sorry. Okay. So now I'm going to take you with a comparative analysis of what actually APEC has done. I joined here in Philippines, APEC on the 1st January 2025. So my first esteemed priority was to provide a benchmarking paradigm for the whole region. When I talk about the region, I talk about 26 Asia Pacific countries, including Philippines, because Philippines is right now actually hosting us, Asia Pacific Accreditation Commission. So my esteemed priority was, first of all, evaluate that if my benchmarks are exactly relevant. I came to know, no, absolutely not. My benchmarks are quite obsolete now. So these were a few areas on which I had to work on. That is Industrial Revolution 4.0 adoptions. When you talk about Industrial Revolution 4.0 adoptions, we have a lot of fashion designers with us right now. My question to them would be, are you going to adopt the new AI-based avatar measurement systems? My answer to this question would be, if your curricula was revised before 2021 or 20, your curricula does not have that particular training contents or the technical contents for AI avatar-based measurement adoptions. Same is the case with a lot of other skills also. So, my first perception was that I will have to definitely upgrade my standards for the Asia Pacific Accreditation Commission in the paradigm of Industrial Revolution 4.0. So there was what we prescribed the APEC standards, which are crucial for establishing the global relevance for your TVET institutions in benchmarking institutional excellence and promoting internationally recognized skilled workforce. So this strategic analysis aims to demonstrate how the updated manual of APEC, which is actually your manual, will catalyze the TVET transformation across the Asia-Pacific region, including the Philippines. Now please look at this slide. It's a very interesting slide. This shows the mental situation of ours, how we used to think before 2020 and how we are thinking it right now. Before 2020, we used to think about the focus areas of institutions are actually governance, teaching, human resource, research and development, image resources, and student supports. Now these were the esteemed focus areas of all the institutions before 2020. But honestly speaking, now all the things got changed. Now the governance is not the governance. Now it's a strategic vision. And you know what is that? Strategic vision means what are your national priorities? And your institution is actually complying with the national priorities or not? And when you talk about the strategic vision, it talks about vision, mission, goal, objective, strategies, and action plans. VMGOSA. That is where the strategic vision of your institutions stand with. So, this is the first thing which we evaluate as an institution and as an accrediting body, that whether if your institutions are strategically compliant with your national goals and objectives or not. The second thing is teaching. At one time we used to talk about only the curricula, but now it's the time of not talking about the curricula. It's about teaching learning management system. Now curricula is just one particular component of teaching learning management system. It's also about the class management system. It's also about the candidate management system. It's also about the training contents which are being delivered. Curricula and the skill standards are just one or two components of complete teaching learning management system. Majority of us are like the people who are belonging to the baby boomers, Z generation, X generation, or millennials like as me. But we should never ignore one fact, that our target group to whom we are teaching are actually alpha generations, and of course the beta generations, which will be coming after 2025. So they are more focused on teaching learning management system ways and tools. They are not convinced with the books as we used to be once in our times. So now the paradigm shift actually takes you from the teaching to learning management systems. Next is about the image. When you talk about the image, the TVET image is definitely, I guess more tarnished image in context of any kind of a discipline. So definitely for that particular instance, we will have to particularly restore the image by virtue of a number of practices. For me, I call technopreneurship is as one of those particular mods, which can actually restore the image of the TVET sector in the world. That is where actually the prestige of the TVET sector can be restored. And next is, of course, the resources. But now we are talking about the budgeting system. My question to every one of you is, you are operating your institutions. Are your budgets being anticipated prior to the budgetary allocations? Are these budgets being adopted by virtue of some enterprise resource planning system, SAP system, or is it just an anticipatory budgetary systems? How many funds your institutions are allocating for the research and development? The global standard says at least 2 to 3% of your budgets should be allocated for student well-beings. And especially in context of this particular Android era, we are more focused right now on the digital well-being of the students. In addition to that, this particular new system also emphasizes on adoption of augmented reality, virtual reality, Internet of Things, and the blockchains. See, the countries which are right now in the Asia-Pacific region are actually second world countries, definitely. We acknowledge that, and we proudly acknowledge that. But the fact is, all the countries do have the fiscal limitations. We cannot update our laboratories after every 3 to 5 years. Because the global theology says that industry updates itself, advances itself after every 3 to 5 years. Because they are profit-centric. Now, my question to every one of you is, can your institution comply with the pace of the industry and upgrade their labs after every 3 to 5 years? Definitely not. No country can afford it. Even the countries like Singapore, USA cannot afford it. So the augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, and extended reality in your laboratories is the answer to that. In addition to that, now artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and immersive technologies are not distinct technologies. Now they are actually additive technologies, which are supposed to be added almost in every single technology. Agriculture, construction, hospitality, services, leather, manufacturing, whatever. These technologies are actually supposed to be integrated in every single technology, and that is where your curricula should be looking like. Okay, so in addition to that, when I talk about, now it's the era of outcome-based evaluation systems. We call it as OBQA, outcome-based quality assurance systems. Okay, so now it's the time to shift from accreditation to the transformation era. And the transformational paradigms is actually asking the institutions to adopt the practices of automation, which is redefining the jobs. It's about the digitization, reshaping the delivery mechanisms. It's about sustainability, which is totally non-negotiable. At one time, we used to talk about the sustainability as a value addition, but now it's not value addition. It's non-negotiable paradigm. It's also about the adoption of Industry 5.0 demand mastery. My workers, my technicians, your technicians in the international job market will become totally irrelevant if they are not mastered in IR 5.0 practices. So it's actually about the winds of the change. And the Malcolm X, who was an expert, he stated that when the winds of change blow, some build the walls, whereas some builds the windmills. So it's the time to build the windmills. My apologies for this, actually it's working a little bit late. So now these are a few systems of accreditation across the world right now. For the Philippines, definitely TESDA is working, CHAD is working. In Pakistan, we have National Accreditation Council working on the Tibet accreditation. In Thailand, we have OVEC, Bangladesh, Mongolia, Sri Lanka, and the Fiji. Now there are a lot of versatile accreditation systems. So APEC is coming with a kind of a solution in which we are offering you an instrument, a benchmarking instrument, which actually dovetails with everyone. Okay, yeah, thank you. Can you go please next? Now these are actually the challenges right now being faced by the TVET systems across the world, whether this may be the Philippines or any system. Definitely we don't have a unified benchmarking systems, we don't have the mobility barriers are right now hindering our progress. Wide variations of the quality, inconsistency in the technology integration, and the limited alignments of IR 4.0 and 5.0. So it's well said that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you really want to go far, go together. So APEC definitely will provide you that kind of a solution. If you comply with our standards, you will definitely not only go fast, but also go far. Next, please. Now these are actually why our regional international accreditation systems matters the most. So you guys can see this particular slide. Definitely we are coming up with a set of unified standards for the regional comparison. Collaboration with the 21st century skills. So when we talk about the 21st century skills, we talk about the integration of all of these technologies with the educational paradigms. And we also prescribe the qualitative standards, clear, measurable indicators for research, training need analysis and assessments, technopreneurship, and industry engagements. And one thing more, APEC as a global agency is always seen as a competitor. Believe me, APEC is not a competitor. It's actually augmented your national priorities. It's actually augmented your national systems. Yeah, next please. Yeah, so now there's the difference actually, where actually your TVET services and the TVET practices should be moving. Previously, we were more confined on automations, mechatronics, big data, predictive analytical tools and techniques, and the smart factories. But now, IR 5.0 is actually steering you from these paradigms to the new paradigms, which are human-centric, sustainability-centric, resilient-centric, ethics, green transformations, and the human-AI collaboration. So global pressures are definitely intensifying, and massive skill mismatches are being emerged right now. A shortage of digitally fluent workers and the expansion of green and blue economies is one of the challenges for all the countries like us. We need the technopreneurs, side by side the technicians. Let me focus on one thing. All the TVET system is right now much focused on production of the professional skilled workforce. We are not targeting the production of the innovators. We are always focused on the job seekers. Who will produce the job producers? Technopreneurs. And the TVET upholds the biggest responsibility on its shoulders to produce the job producers for the future. And that is where actually Singapore got its success. They focused on producing job producers in 2002 instead of producing the job seekers. And definitely Malcolm X says that the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Next, please. Yeah, definitely. Now this would be definitely my last slide. I know I'm already being overrun by the time. Now these are a few systems by virtue of which I would advocate why your institutions are actually requiring the accreditation system right now. See, accreditation is not only an emblem and the symbol of quality. It's actually a hand-holding paradigm, which starts from a scratch level and steers you from all the paradigms to the top of the line institution in your country. It's actually about a structured, credible quality assurance system. It actually takes you and drives you into a particular context of institutional transformation. It's a journey of institutional transformation from scratch level to the top of the line institution. It ensures the future skills readiness is actually being imparted by the institutions. And moreover, of course, it's also about the global visibility and the global competitiveness of your skilled workforce. It also ensures that future skills which are supposed to be emergent are actually being dovetailed into your system. And how is it possible? We call it, this is only possible by adoption of a sustained quality assurance paradigm. Yeah, please, next. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, okay, sorry. So now these are the key advancements which are actually supposed to be adopted by the institutions. What we say is, it's the time to introduce the green skill integrations. It's not a luxury now. It's a liability. Adoption of the green skills. That is where actually the global economies are right now reshaping their industry. It's actually aligning with the Sustainable Development Goals at the time. For environmental responsibility, we need to produce ESG compliant, environmental, social governance compliant workforce. That is where they can become relevant to the global standards. It's actually about producing the mandatory business incubation centers in our institutions to produce the job producers of the future. It's actually about the industry mentors. Now industry is not actually about signing an MOUs only. we will have to invite the industry to embed startup founders and industry experts in delivery mechanisms of your institutions. It's about smart financial tools adoptions. Institutions can adopt the ERP, SAP systems for anticipatory budgetary mechanisms. So these inclusions definitely empowers the TVET institutions to evolve from IR 4.0 to 5.0. And any particular quality assurance mechanism like as APEC or of course yours steers you towards that particular sustained quality assurance mechanism. So last slide, please. Thank you. Yeah, next please. Next please. Yeah, so it is our shared global and regional accreditation body when you talk about the APEC. It's created, trusted, and mandated by not only Philippines, but also about all 26 countries. So with the launch of the new APEC accreditation framework in 2025, what we are expecting is that we are actually now made our move for the transformation of the TVET sector. Now it's the time for de-dichotomization of the TVET and the education sector. That is where we can actually join these both particular sectors. So together, we shape a stronger, smarter, and more resilient TVET for the future. Thank you so much, and my very apologies for overrunning the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Yakub. He is really an advocate of catalyzing TVET transformation through accreditation benchmarking standards. At this point, may we invite our two panelists, ARD Vergara and Professor Yakub, as well as our esteemed Director Magsalin po, for our photo ops. And we will proceed directly to the question and answer portion. Is it okay po? Thank you. May we invite on the stage also Sir RC? Okay. Dito po. Alright, thank you so much po. And we will invite you na po to have a seat, please. May we request for the microphone, please? Ay, this one. Sir, so I will be sitting here. Alright, so thank you. Congratulations po for the very comprehensive presentation of your topic, sir. So our panel discussion, or today's discussion, will explore how success is defined, measured, and sustained in TVET education. So our first question is addressed po kay ARD. So, sir, what rigorous quality assurance mechanisms have been most effective in ensuring senior high school TVET programs meet national and international standards?
Thank you for the question, Madam. Of course, in Region 2's perspective, quality assurance is strengthened through multi-level monitoring, teacher upskilling, and continuous quality improvement through the support and partnerships with TESDA, financial support also from our LGU partners. We continue to hone the skills of our teachers by way of recommending them to trainings for NC, trainers methodology. And at the same time, we are conducting also regular monitoring and evaluation side by side with the division office partners, TESDA, and the R2ASS monitoring team.
Yes. Thank you so much po, ARD. So for you, benchmarking is all about not competition, but cooperation with other government agencies. So therefore, it is really a continuous improvement. Thank you, sir. For our second question, Professor Yakub, looking at international best practices, what is one strategy from neighboring Asian countries that Philippine schools should adopt immediately to improve workforce alignment? Yes, sir.
All right, thank you so much. When I talk about what kind of the best practices Philippine institutions should adopt for looking at our neighboring countries, for me, 2 or 3 points I have already covered into my presentation.
Yeah, opo.
When I talk about TESTA, when I talk about Philippines, when I say I talk about, it means the word. When the word talks about Philippines and the TESTA, so they mean more about NC certification programs, a very strong, well-structured TVET sector. But the time by virtue of which the integration of the journal education and the TVET should have been given a due cognizance is somewhere missing. For me, the institutions in Philippines first of all target on integration of the TVET with the journal education. That is where probably TVET Philippines is lacking a little bit when you talk about its comparison with other neighboring countries. In addition to that, articulation and accumulation of the credit hours under the National Vocational Qualification Framework vis-a-vis your educational scenarios, educational frameworks. That is where actually what I have observed Philippines is lacking a little bit, unfortunately. And your next question would be how can it be made possible? For me, what I think is, if it's made as a part of the national TVET policy for the Philippines or some national action plan by virtue of a strategy, it can be made possible. Now, this is first thing. Second thing is, whenever I look at the Philippine TVET sector, I always find that every single institution is more focused on producing the job seekers. As I also emphasized,
Yes,
sir,
po, that's correct.
that it's the time to produce the innovators.
Yeah.
I raised a question in front of everyone. When you talk about Mr. Watt, the one who actually invented the steam engine, nobody knows. Was he a TVET guy or educational person? Was he from Gen Ed or was he from the TVET sector? Nobody knows. So it means that the innovation and the producers of the innovators is another key to the success. When you look at the global paradigms, approximately 1.5 to 2% of the population can be integrated into the government jobs.
Okay.
Rest over 20 to 25% can integrate into the private jobs. So what about the remaining 75%?
Yes.
Where are they going? Let me answer that. They are actually informal sector. Either they are being indulged into the informal economy or they are jobless or just switching the jobs. So for me, what I think is TVET sector upholds the biggest responsibility to convert these 75% informal sector into the innovators of the future. And how the institutions can basically produce those innovators, institutions should have to be converted into the nurseries of business incubations, where they can actually breed the ideas, where they can actually breed the innovations. And for that, we will have to introduce a culture of research and development, product development, business incubations. That is for me is probably the second thing where I can probably think about that where TVET institutions in Philippines can make an intervention.
Okay. So thank you so much po, Professor Yakub. So therefore, from the point of view of Professor, we need to be inspired by the different best practices of the neighboring countries, and we can use that as an effective tool for transformation. So we have only one question for both of you, sirs. How do we bridge the resource gap between well-funded private vocational schools and under-resourced public schools to ensure equitable career opportunities for all our learners? Sir Vergara,
how
sir?
do we bridge the gaps between private schools over a supply or and between that undersupply of from the public schools. No? As educational leader, we strengthen partnerships, of course, and involve industry partners to cater also to the needs, no, of our public school system. The private school in Region 2, we have a very strong partnerships, of course, with our industry partners, especially the universities, the private school association in Region 2, where they offer also their facilities to our public schools in terms of immersion, aside from the regular programs that we have, the JDVP, and the other programs where DepEd could, where the students could be, of course, immersed in the private school in Region 2. So the issues on the lack of or insufficient facilities will be addressed and will be, of course, supported also by our private school partners in Region 2.
Okay, thank you so much
Partnership is the
for
answer.
partnership, and let us help one another, ano po, for us to gain success in all our endeavors as a public servant of the Department of Education. Thank you po, ARD Vergara. What about you, sir, Professor Yakub?
Yeah, it's working. Thank you so much. When you talk about the resource sharing in context of the public and private sector,
Yes.
To be honest, how I see it, actually, first of all, I bifurcate the resources into two. One is the hard resources, second one is the soft resources. When you talk about the hard resources, it's about, in context of institutions, it's actually, for me, it's actually about the labs, workshops, infrastructure being rendered off by the public and the private institutions. And in industry, I would call it as industrial training units, ITUs.
Okay. ITUs.
Yeah. And when I talk about the soft resources, so it's, for me, in institutions, it's like, what do you say, like trainers, teachers, the TVET practitioners, and in industry, it would be the mentors. Now, to be honest, like a number of countries have adopted versatile practices. Like in South Asia, public sector is actually funding in the shape of training programs and the training projects, whereas they are seeking a request for proposal from the private sector. And private sector is actually offering their infrastructure to the public sector. Like for me, what I have been doing for like almost 10 years over there in South Asia was Prime Minister's Youth Skill Development Program, in which we were selecting almost 1,000 institutions every year. We provide them with the funds, and the institutions execute the training programs as per the national priorities of the country. That is where actually the co-sharing of and the co-ownership of training interventions, which are supposed to be actually inherited by the federal government, can stand with. Like physical infrastructure to be coming from the private sector and the financial infrastructure to be coming from the government side.
Okay.
In the shape of funds, sponsored programs,
Okay.
sponsored projects. Yeah.
So
One
it's
thing.
really cooperation.
Exactly.
And helping one another. Thank you so
Exactly.
much, Professor Yakub. So we can conclude ano po, that benchmarking or showcasing of the best practices enables TVET institutions to remain relevant, inclusive, and responsive to the needs of our society. With this, thank you very much po. Thank you po to our distinguished guests, ARD Vergara and Professor Yakub. Thank you so much po. So we would like to call in once again our Director Magsalin, for the awarding of the certificate.
Thank you very much to our panelists and our moderator. Let me read the citation of the certificate being awarded. Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, DepEd Complex, Meralco Avenue, Pasig City. Certificate of Recognition. This certificate is presented to our panelists in recognition of invaluable contributions as panel speaker during the National Tech-Voc Summit held at the Great Eastern Hotel, Quezon City on January 28, 2026. given this 28th day of January 2026 in Quezon City, Philippines. Signed, Carmela C. Oracion, Assistant Secretary, Officer in Charge, Office of the Undersecretary for Learning Systems. Again, a big round of applause for our panelists. Thank you very much for that worthwhile discussion. We really learned a lot.
And as we draw the curtains on this highly productive summit, it is essential to weave together the many threads of today's discourse into a single vision for action.
Yes, Sir Ken. We have listened, we have discussed, and we have envisioned. But a vision without a roadmap remains a mere dream. And to ensure that our efforts today translate into tangible action, we must now consolidate the wealth of knowledge shared.
Indeed, Ma'am Gail, and so, to provide us with essential clarity and to synthesize the strategic takeaways of this summit, it is our pleasure to invite Maria Cecilia O. Naive, Supervising Education Program Specialist, Bureau of Curriculum Development. A round of applause, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your presence and physical support of coming here. So as we wrap up our high-level discussions, let us distill the conversation into key takeaways. Now, the clear consensus is a need for a paradigm shift, a move toward a demand-driven education ecosystem where industry demands service as the blueprint for our national curriculum. The summit champions a critical paradigm shift from a supply-driven education system to a demand-driven workforce pipeline, where industry needs dictate training priorities to solve the persistent job skills mismatch. Now, this ecosystem approach transforms the private sector from a passive receiver of graduates into an active co-producer of talent, aiming for plug-and-play readiness rather than general employability. To achieve this, basic education curricula are being reverse engineered based on specific industry roadmaps. For instance, the shift to high-value analytics in business process outsourcing, the BPOs, and research and development in electronics is driving a stronger emphasis on digital fluency, STEM foundations, and complex problem solving within schools. To operationalize this transition, the enterprise-based education and training, or the iba't law and enhanced immersion programs are institutionalizing rigorous training within the workplace itself. By drastically increasing immersion requirements from 80 to 320 to 420 until 640 to the maximum hours. The system ensures senior high school graduates achieve actual competency mastery and are hireable immediately after grade 12. This domestic overhaul is supported by a commitment to international benchmarking, such as the Asia Pacific Accreditation and International and Certification Commission standards, ensuring that success is measured not by enrollment numbers, but by employability, certification rates, and the agility to update the curriculum alongside rapid technological changes. So that's our key takeaways from this National Summit. Thank you so much. And allow me to stay in front of you for a few more minutes to recognize the important people behind the success of this National Tech-Voc Summit, aka 2025 National Celebration of Tech-Voc, because this has been planned even last year pa. So it only happened this year because of so many challenges. challenges encountered. Okay, so this will not be realized without the men and women, officials and staff, technical and administrative staff of the host city, Schools Division of Antipolo City, with the support of DepEd Region 4A, the region Calabarzon, who worked tirelessly, spent sleepless nights in preparation for this big event. I would like to recognize in particular the Regional Director of Region 4A, Calabarzon, Attorney Alberto Escobarte. Nandito po siya. Balakpakan po natin ang ating mga masisipag na officials and staff from the host region. Assistant Regional Director Dr. Lloyd Nidea, and Regional Supervisor of EPPTLE, Virgilio Guevara, ang aking palaging kausap. No? Kasi yung talagang aking contact sa, dito sa event na ito. And to our gracious host, Region 4A, pwede pong, can you please come on stage sa region? Kayo lang po? Okay, sige po. Please come on stage. Likewise, may I request Director Mark Magsalin to please come on stage to award the certificate of recognition to DepEd Region 4A. So allow me to read the contents of the citation. Certificate of recognition. This certificate of recognition is presented to DepEd Region 4A Calabarzon for successfully hosting the National Tech-Voc Summit or the 2025 National Celebration of Tech-Voc held at the Great Eastern Hotel, Quezon City on January 28, 2026, given this 28th day of January 2026 in Quezon City, Philippines. Signed, Carmela Oracion, Assistant Secretary, Officer in Charge, Office of the Undersecretary for Learning Systems. Thank you so much to host region. Please stay, Director Mark, stage as we will award another certificate of recognition. This certificate of recognition is also awarded to SDO Antipolo City for accepting our request and efficiently managing the preparations until the main event. Hats off to the technical working groups, the chairs and members led by SDS Director Dr. Lerma Flandes, ASDS Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez Jr., CID Chief Dr. Cristina Salazar, Dr. Jonathan Domingo, and EPPTLE Supervisor Dr. Melanie Orgonia. Thank you so much and congratulations po. And of course to the Masters of Ceremony for their engaging and graceful handling of the program, Dr. Kyle Malibiran and Mr. Kenneth Arantes. Thank you so much for that's the job, 200. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our SVEPs, Maria Cecilia Naive, for that wonderful consolidation. You have turned our many voices into a singular, clear mandate. And of course, we are even more thankful for the recognition that you have shared. We are always very happy to serve. Iyon naman po talaga tayo.
Thank you po sa opportunity. And now to formally seal our proceedings, not as an end but as a commencement of the work to be done in our respective regions, we call on stage once more our Director 4 of the Bureau of Curriculum Development, Mr. Peter Mark Magsalin, for the closing remarks.
Wow, tapos na po talaga? Parang ang bilis po ng oras, no? I think we can extend it more to 2 more hours, no? Nabiro lang po, no? But really, congratulations to everyone, no? For making this event very, very successful. Kulang po ang aming pagtayo dito at pasasalamat upang isa-isahin ang lahat po ng dapat pasalamatan sa araw na ito. Para sa tagumpay po ng ating Tech-Voc Summit, no? So again, maybe can we give ourselves a big round of applause? And also a round of applause to all who worked very hard and tirelessly to make this event successful. So again, another round of applause to everyone. Alam namin, uwing-uwi na po kayo, no? Mag-alasiko na rin. But bago tayo umuwi, meron lang po akong ilang bagay na gustong ibahagi sa inyo, no? Para sa pag-uwi naman po natin, meron tayong maaalala dito sa ating pagtitipon. So my closing remarks is actually centered, no? Or centers into what I call turning dialogue into outcomes. So as we bring the National Tech-Voc Summit 2026 to a close, my heart, our hearts are full of gratitude. We have spent the day discussing the iba't law, navigating data-driven horizons, and benchmarking success from both public and private perspectives. So palakpakan po natin ang ating mga speakers. Thank you very much. So to our organizers, our host region and division, our masters of ceremonies, Dr. Gail Malibiran and Mr. Kenneth Arante, you did a wonderful job. And every participant, kayo po, who stayed until this final hour, thank you. Maraming salamat po. You have shown that the spirit of empowering skills is alive and well in the Department of Education. However, as we prepare to leave the Great Eastern Hotel, I must pose a challenge. The true value of this summit will not be measured by the notes you took or the program matrix you followed. It will be measured by what comes next. When you return to your respective regions and divisions, I ask you 4 questions. Number 1, how will these learnings transform your schools? Will they stay as recommendations? Or will they influence your next industry-academe partnership? Number 2, how will you shift your implementation of TVET programs toward real outcomes? How will your local programs specifically serve the National Development Plan priority sectors such as digital technology, agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, etc. Third, how will you measure success? Will it be by using the same old metrics? Yung dating gawin na lang natin? Or will you look at how many of your graduates are entering high-value roles in the workforce? And last but not the least, how will you deepen your local industry ties to solidify the school-to-work pipeline? Because our learners some of whom are present here today, deserve an education that leads directly to a dignity-giving career. We have discussed the roadmap for the Tech Pro track, as well as the strategic pillars of our reform. Now, the future of work is no longer a distant concept. It is a responsibility that sits on our shoulders. So, go back to your communities as the advocates our students need. Let us turn the synergy we all felt today into the momentum that will redefine the Filipino workforce. Our summit is over, but our work has just begun. So safe travels to everyone, and let us continue building a better future, a better Philippines, one skill, one learner at a time. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. Maraming salamat po. And thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Director Magsalin. We are truly grateful to be part of this endeavor and also for this opportunity. Your words serve as a reminder that the legacy of the summit will not be found in our notes,
but in the careers of the students we empower and the many people we touch through this activity.
Before we formally bid you farewell, we request every official, every partner, and delegate to please stand. We will now conduct our final Summit Family Photo.
Okay? Compress po tayo, guys. Sige po. Compress, find your space, and we will take our pictures for the final time today. Ayan.
Let us fill the stage and the aisles. Let this image represent our unified commitment to the future of the Filipino workforce. Yan, pwede po tayong lumapit.
Sige po, those na nandito sa side, you may move a little to the center. Sama po tayo. And that concludes our program. My name is Gail.
And I am Ken. On behalf of everyone who made this event possible, we thank you for your time, your passion, and your expertise. The
National Tech-Voc Summit 2026 is now officially closed. Good afternoon and mabuhay. We are requesting everyone to share your thoughts and ideas about our event.
Impossible. May your journey home be safe and may your resolve be strengthened. Again, good afternoon, everyone.